Chapter 751 Light and Salt 7. Azure Cloud Heart Method. Wo Wang. As she cultivates the basic chi building method that creates blue clouds around her with each breath, Wal Ryong feels fascinated. Is this a basic chi building method? It is fascinating. She was born as an innate core formation. From childhood, the formulas of the chi refining and chi building instinctively embedded into her spirit. She thinks it is truly fascinating that this realm, which she could reach just by breathing, someone else has to gasp for breath from the very beginning to climb up toward. How curious. Pachijik. The blue clouds of the Azure Cloud Heart method form faint lightning. After the Azure Cloud Heart method comes the lightning spirit single chi formula. It is a method that temporarily turns the whole body into a lightning spirit and provides an enormous affinity with thunder and lightning. The method itself is specialized in summoning what is called the spirit of lightning. In an instant, her talent sees through the essence of the method. A tool, this Thunder Resonance Valley itself is a vast tool and altar to summon the power of the god that is worshipped here. The very thing called Thunder Resonance Valley is no different from a foothold for the power of the upper realm to descend into the vast cold realm. Do these people know that? As she looks toward the other chi building and core formation disciples who have come to hear the Dharma sermon of the nascent soul elder, Divine Power Wondrous Salvation True Lord Heo of Thunder Resonance Valley, she gazes at Thunder Resonance Valley for a long time. The doctrines of Thunder Resonance Valley, the customs of Thunder Resonance Valley, the very meaning of existence of Thunder Resonance Valley, are thoroughly analyzed by her and become assimilated into her. Wal Ryong rapidly absorbs the knowledge and wisdom of Thunder Resonance Valley. Look at that, their name is Divine Power Wondrous Salvation True Lord Heo. What kind of nascent soul stage cultivator has the name True Lord, Puhaha? Mu Jiam and Bai Hua laugh through voice transmission while wanting to scratch the belly of the nascent soul elder giving the sermon up front, and Wal Ryong, seeing the world through the completely new perspective of the chi building stage she is now experiencing, feels many things. Yana, why do you think those people do what's called effort? What are you talking about? They must already know themselves, even if they work that hard, their limit is the core formation stage, or perhaps the nascent soul stage. To reach beyond that, they would need a truly enormous fortuitous encounter. But why do they go that far, to the point of almost dying, even crawling before elders who are at most at the nascent soul stage to do so? She asks about things she does not understand. As one born as an innate core formation, instinctively feeling the power of fate and unconsciously realizing the structure of this world and her own future, she cannot understand beings that are below the chi building stage wriggling and struggling. No, to be honest, she cannot even understand integration stage cultivators like Mu Jiam and Bai Hua, who are at a realm similar to hers. Why do people all strive to escape their own birth station? You're curious why they try to escape their birth station? Yes. People all have something called fate given to them. And if you look closely at the circumstances you are in and your own potential, even without learning immortal cultivation, you can guess your fate. But, why do people not examine their own fate and instead strive to reach beyond it? Seo Gyung's eyes shine as he hears the question. Well, perhaps, the very act of struggling is fate itself. The very act of struggling is fate. Wal Ryong frowns at that slightly peculiar remark. Seeing the beings that are below the chi building stage struggling, she does think they are foolish, but she has no intention of denying that free will. She even thinks that, foolish though it may be, the very act of continuing to struggle is beautiful. However, Seo Gyung's words feel somehow unpleasant. It feels as though he is saying free will does not exist. Free will. With the feeling that those words are tightly binding her chest, Wal Ryong asks Seo Gyung again. If even struggling under fate is fate, does that mean freedom does not exist? Seo Gyung stares straight at Wal Ryong. It doesn't exist. That's what I think. Wal Ryong does not understand what Seo Gyung means and bites her lips hard. But it is difficult to deny. For if the heavens hold something called fate, and under that fate all things of all phenomena are decided, then it is true that free will does not exist. And for some reason, though she does not like Seo Gyung's answer, she cannot form any logic to deny it. Life in Thunder Resonance Valley while lowering her realm is an entirely new experience. As soon as Wal Ryong, Mu Jiam, and Bai Hua entered the valley, they reached the chi building stage, and once they became chi building cultivators, they often suffered direct humiliation from countless core formation disciples. Ahaha, so you're that famous next sword spear candidate. Point 2. What is that supposed to? Oohoo, shut up. As a newcomer, I'm saying you should lick your senior's feet. Wait. Ook. Wonderful. One of the next 8 immortals is, my feet, UHUHU. Bai Hua gets caught by a grand perfection core formation disciple called Golden Shaking Bird, and every day she is made to wash her soft feet. Mu Jiam, with his fluffy tail fur being popular, is frequently seized by female core formation disciples. At least no special harassment falls upon Wal Ryong, but even she has to run errands on her own feet, so she constantly experiences new things. Wal Ryong, install a formation here in this part. You can draw these symbols properly, correct? Yes, Elder 10,000 Laws. She is often caught by the Elder 10,000 Law spiritual lord and ordered to do errands like installing formations. Running around on errands here and there, she gradually senses instinctively that some transcendent existence is taking interest in Thunder Resonance Valley on a metaphysical level. Gradually, the god is approaching. Itis said Thunder Resonance Valley serves 2 gods. One is the god of thunder and lightning, whom she does not know well but seems famous among the beings here. The second is a being she knows well, the devil god of Sword Mountain. Yet the devil god of Sword Mountain is not very well known, and only the group called the Colorless Faction seems to mainly worship that devil god. I don't know why, but that being, the devil god of Sword Mountain. I feel like I will face that being again this time. She ponders. For some reason, I feel like I am standing on top of the plans of transcendent divinities. The question she asked Seo Gyung not long ago about free will is because of these vast wills pressing on her back recently. If transcendent beings are arranging my fate, and I only live according to that fate, then do I truly not have free will? Free will doesn't exist. That's what I think. For some reason, Seo Gyung's words, spoken with such certainty, continue to bother her in a corner of her heart. If free will doesn't exist, then why must I keep struggling to raise my realm? Can't I just sit still in this place? As time passes, her troubles only deepen. And amid such doubts about her own free will and within her inner heart demon, the time arrives. Kurururung. Wal Ryong, along with about 100 excellent chi building and core formation disciples of Thunder Resonance Valley, about 60 excellent nascent soul stage elders, around 10 heavenly being stage grand elders, 4 great grand elders of the 4-axis stage, and the sect leader, the lightning sword high person at the integration stage, gather and begin the sacrificial ritual. Though called excellent disciples, in truth they are those who have deeper faith in the gods worshipped by Thunder Resonance Valley than anyone else in the valley, willing to offer their very lives for the gods. Today, on this spot, that Lord shall descend. All must greet them. Wal Ryong watches the lightning sword high person from afar. Wearing a red faceless mask, bare-chested with red lower garments, reaching his hands toward the sky, his appearance seems rather grotesque. Why is he doing such a thing? Why is she, knowing she stands upon the hands of transcendent beings, here to resist their influence? Does he do such things by his own free will? If so, am I also doing this by my own free will? The lightning sword high person and the 4 great law protectors of Thunder Resonance Valley activate the formation. Kurururung. The heaven and earth spiritual energy of the earth tribe territory heads toward Thunder Resonance Valley. Jeong. The entirety of Thunder Resonance Valley seems to boil, and according to their formation, the heaven and earth spiritual energy gathered from the entire earth tribe territory rapidly amplifies. Itis the amplifying spirit's ritual. Sensing the scale of that enormous power, Wal Ryong falls into thought. Fate cannot be defeated by strength. Then with what does one prove oneself? To prove one's free will beneath fate, what must one do? Kurururung. The heaven and earth spiritual energy amplified by the amplifying spirit's ritual soon begins to be offered through the lightning sword high person to some existence. Kurururung. Wal Ryong, trembling under the will of the god of Thunder Resonance Valley, the god of heavenly punishment, who sends part of their split soul to the ritual, thinks. Is the only way to become an even greater existence. Is becoming a greater existence, and with that great power, guaranteeing only the free will of those beneath oneself, truly the only way. Without even thinking that the self-questioning she asks herself is questioning the essence of Radiance Hall, she continually asks herself and undergo repentant enlightenment. Is this path I walk the right one? She, recalling the countless moments she has seen and experienced during the 10 months she lived as a chi-building disciple, sinks into agony. More than the 30 years she lived as a proud disciple of Radiant Spirit Sect, the 300 days she lived as a chi-building cultivator are throwing her into confusion. She is changing from the 10 months she spent as a chi-building disciple of Thunder Resonance Valley. Kurururung. Soon the will of the transcendent existence fades, and the third ritual begins. Kururung. The spirit of lightning begins to descend into the lightning sword high person, who wears a red mask. Urururung. The lightning sword high person's flesh begins to undergo lightning transformation. Wearing the red mask, he receives the spirit of lightning, dyeing his whole body golden. Red lightning turns golden, and a golden lightning spirit is being summoned to this place. This lightning spirit, after stabilizing inside the lightning sword high person, will again move its dwelling into the bodies of the 4 great law protectors of Thunder Resonance Valley. When thus a total of 4 spirits are summoned, it is said that the divine artifact of the god of heavenly punishment, the heavenly lightning banner, will be summoned. Remember well, there is only one chance. Before that lightning spirit enters the bodies of the 4 great law protectors, you must ambush the 4 great law protectors and kill them in one strike. I will handle the lightning sword high person. Can you do it? The ritual of spirit summoning that at last begins in earnest. Within that ritual, the voice transmission of Guk Huang enters her ears, and Wal Ryong nods. Soon, the voice of the slaughtering heaven esteemed one Guk Huang, who exchanges voice transmissions with Seo Gyung, Mu Jiam, and Bai Hua, resounds. When the signal of True Dragon Alliance Lord Gu Ryan comes, begin the ambush at once. Now then, all of you, prepare. Wal Ryong closes her eyes and counts inwardly. The feint operation with Gu Ryan, who will attack the main mountain of Thunder Resonance Valley from outside and shake Thunder Resonance Valley, is about to begin. She tries to calm herself by counting numbers, but even though she counts, is not at ease. The topic of free will is incessantly reproduced in her head and is driving her into a heart demon. The answer about free will, what is it? Finally, she stomps her foot. Quagwagwagwang. At that same moment, Yu Ryan's all-out attack begins to pound Thunder Resonance Valley's main mountain. 000000000H. Kuguguging. By the attack of the quasi-star-shattering stage dragon King Yu Ryan, the entire region, including Thunder Resonance Valley, shakes, and the gazes of everyone in Thunder Resonance Valley scatters at the sudden ambush. And Wal Ryong, who stomped her foot in that gap, reaches one of the 4 great law protectors. Flash. As she exudes the divine might of the integration stage she has hidden all this time, she bursts and kills in one strike the Grand Perfection 4-axis stage Great Law Protector assigned to her. The 4-axis stage Law Protector's body bursts apart, and their spirit immediately vanishes from the spot, seeking to use the function of the 4-axis stage to resurrect. With no time to even be shocked at the instant death of one of the 4-axis stage cultivators, the other 4-axis cultivators are likewise ambushed by Seo Gyung, Mu Jiam, and Bai Hua. Under the all-out assault of the integration stage cultivators who hid among the other disciples, they have no choice but to collapse. The esteemed one Guk Huang charges at the lightning sword high person. Lightning sword high person is charged by esteemed one Guk Huang. You all disrupt the formation, I will take him. Guk Huang summons a radiance halberd and rushes at the lightning sword high person, and the lightning sword high person and the tall tree race's star-shattering esteemed one, Guk Huang, collide. Jiajiang, Jiaoyoyong. Light and lightning explode as the two beings clash. Lightning sword high person may only be at the integration stage, but within him is a direct apostle of the god of heavenly punishment. A spirit of lightning. Though not yet stabilized, the lightning spirit endlessly presses Guk Huang and blows them away toward the sky of the vast cold realm, and Guk Huang grits their teeth and stands against the spirit of lightning. Condemn the heretic scum who harm the valley lord. Kill them. Kugugugugu. Countless disciples of Thunder Resonance Valley rush at them. The eyes of the Thunder Resonance Valley disciples are dyed with fanaticism, and seeing them, Mu Jiam and Bai Hua sneer. Mu Jiam and Bai Hua, who had no choice but to be tormented by them due to the secret operation, have their eyes filled with killing intent. Especially Bai Hua, who was caught by a disciple named Golden Shaking Bird and, for reasons she cannot understand, treated almost like a plaything, raises her integrated Dao domain as if to massacre them all even a moment faster. Itis then. Kurururung. All of you, be still. The attraction force spreading from Wal Ryong distorts the surrounding space and forces everyone to collapse to the ground. Kwang. All existences that are below the heavenly being stage are seized by Wal Ryong's immense power and are pressed to the ground, and Wal Ryong's calm words sweep across the entirety of Thunder Resonance Valley. 1 a.m. The integration stage grand cultivator of the human race, Wal Ryong. Not only I, but also Mu Jiam and Bai Hua are all at the Grand Perfection integration stage. Seo Gyung has also just risen to the very beginning of the integration stage. You have no chance of victory. Therefore, do not resist and stay still. If you do so, I shall not kill you. Ha, junior sister, you are too soft. These are heretics who serve evil gods. Can we not just kill them all? That's right, junior sister. These bastards, have you forgotten what that bitch golden shaking bird did to me for 10 months? Even if you stop me, I have to tear at least that one to death. Mu Jiam and Bai Hua, irritated, vent their complaints to Wal Ryong. But in that instant, meeting her gaze, Mu Jiam and Bai Hua freeze completely. Shiver. Do you truly need to do so? Wal Ryong's gaze is now far different from before. And only then do Mu Jiam and Bai Hua realize what has happened to Wal Ryong. Insane, Q quasi-star shattering stage. In 10 months she reached the quasi-star shattering stage. Has she become a monster? J junior sister, we should do as you say. Haha, sorry, I tried to push through too much with my authority as a senior brother, right? I'm sorry, junior sister. I'll just be scratching their bellies. Ahaha, Mu Jiam and Bai Hua, seeing Wal Ryong's gaze, awkwardly lay down 10,000 Law Spiritual Lord and Eastern Brilliance Spiritual Lord, who are kneeling nearby, and begin scratching their bellies. Do you even know whose bellies you are scratching right now? 10,000 Law Spiritual Lord and Eastern Brilliance Spiritual Lord only look at the two with dumbfounded faces. Of course, you would be dumbfounded. But the truth is, we were not chi building disciples, but at the integration stage, you see. Ha ha ha, how cute. It's so sudden you still can't grasp the situation, huh? Do you know how funny it was every time we saw you acting lofty about being a nascent soul? Mu Jiam and Bai Hua, to avoid Wal Ryong's gaze, treat the two nascent soul elders who find the absurd situation as if they are cute and scratch their bellies, and Wal Ryong turns her eyes and surveys the surroundings. Wal Ryong uses her integration stage attraction force to make everyone in the area kneel, suppressing them so they cannot perform any spells, divine powers, or actions. However, among those gathered here, not a single one yields to her attraction force, and they keep trying to rise without stopping. I believe I said it already. If you resist, I will kill you. Kuguging. She releases an even stronger attraction force. All around, low-level disciples cough up blood. Yet, even though she now emits an attraction force as if to soon kill them, no one here stops resisting. Wal Ryong opens her mouth. The difference in strength is immense. Her mental speech spreads throughout the area. With the 4-axis stage cultivators dead, even if all of you at or below the heavenly being stage rush in, you cannot even defeat Seogyung, who is the weakest among us. At Wal Ryong's words, Seogyung's expression briefly turns strange, but it soon vanishes. If you resist, you only die. I am seeking a way for you to live. Do not make a foolish choice. Do not force yourselves to rise while bleeding, just to chase some clumsy freedom. And then, she sees it. The fanatics gathered for this ritual are all, in unison, straining with all their might to resist. Quirung, Quirururung. In the sky, Yu Ryan and Guk Wang are pressing the spirit of lightning and the lightning sword high person whom it possesses. The spirit of lightning, a direct apostle of the god of heavenly punishment, is powerful, but now faced with a many against one situation, it seems to be overmatched as it begins to concede attacks. The lightning spirit you summoned cannot defeat the star-shattering esteemed one who have come with us. Even so, will you keep resisting? Will you die a meaningless dog's death? At Wal Ryong's question, someone opens their mouth. Quote. Itis not, meaningless. What? Itis, the head of the colorless faction of Thunder Resonance Valley, a person named Tae Ryuk. Quote. My ancestor was a Buddhist nun. She reached only about the heavenly being stage at a hall called Grand Nirvana Temple and lived leisurely, met a suitable connection, and lived suitably. They try to rise, and Wal Ryong presses them down even harder. But she does not silence their mouth. She was abandoned by her parents. But as she studied Buddhism at the Grand Nirvana Temple, she said she had such thoughts. That if she is one abandoned by her parents, and if such is her fate, then where does the meaning of her existence lie? She said she agonized over such thoughts. Seogyung, as if recalling something, focuses on their story and wears an expression sunk in reminiscence. And Wal Ryong perceives that something is changing within Tae Ryuk. What is this? Something is strange. From the person called Tae Ryuk, she feels an alienness that cannot even be put into words. And, as she passed away, though it is not some grand answer, she found an answer of her own. If fate has abandoned me, has the Buddhism I polished also abandoned me? Uduk, Udududuk, Wal Ryong shivers in shock. Tae Ryuk, who is merely at the heavenly being stage, is resisting the attraction force of the perfection integration stage Wal Ryong and is slowly standing up from their place. If the heavens have abandoned me, have the Tangwa I have drawn also abandoned me? Has the building called Grand Nirvana Temple where I have lived also abandoned me? 1. Zhejiang. And at last, Tae Ryuk stands up from their place. And an anomaly occurs. Uduk, Ududududuk, heavenly being stage cultivators, especially those who reach the grand perfection heavenly being stage begin to rise one by one, resisting Wal Ryong's attraction force. There may be an absolute difference, we may absolutely not be able to defeat you, but even so, we will struggle. Even though you cannot win. Even if we cannot win, we can still wear away a tiny bit of your energy. It will be nothing more than a speck of energy. Is not a great mountain, born from just such specks gathering together. Even if I fall here and die, the things I have done will not abandon me. The ones I hold precious, the Thunder Resonance Valley which I have cherished will care for the ones left behind and pray for me who has died. That alone is enough. Kwang. At those words, a strange rotational force felt around them completely pushes away Wal Ryong's attraction force. The grand perfection heavenly being cultivators, including Tae Ryuk, rise fully to their feet. Wal Ryong sees in their dantians a strange formula revolving in cycles. Itis a heavenly circle, what is that? Is that not the formula of acceptance at fate's end? How in the world did they reach the grand perfection heavenly being stage with another formula? No, more than that, how are grand perfection heavenly being cultivators emitting this level of attraction force? Wal Ryong stares at them taken aback, and the grand perfection heavenly being cultivators, including Tae Ryuk, all simultaneously form a hand seal. It happens at that moment. Flash, heaven and earth rumble, and Tae Ryuk and all of the colorless faction summon their swords and charge Wal Ryong in unison. Heavenly being stage, nascent soul stage, core formation stage, it does not matter. Every colorless faction cultivator connects with Tae Ryuk, sharing his heavenly circle formula, and rushes Wal Ryong together. At that sight, Wal Ryong opens her mouth. Bo, Tiffle, why is it so? To Wal Ryong, their sight is more beautiful than any rare jewel in this world, more beautiful than any fine elixir or dharma treasure. And, Wal Ryong stretches out her hand toward the disciples of the colorless faction radiating such beauty. With my own hands, I must kill it. This beauty, there is no joy in it. Only deep regret fills her. And so, at the very moment countless disciples of the colorless faction are about to be massacred by her hand. I offer it. 17. Kururururung. A thunderous clap of lightning strikes her ears. Wal Ryong, along with Mu Jiam and Bai Hua, realizes what has happened and is aghast. The four great law protectors of Thunder Resonance Valley, who died in their ambush and went to resurrect through the soul passage, have returned and offered a sacrifice. And that sacrifice is none other than you insane cultist bastards. 1. The lives of the vast majority of the hundreds of Thunder Resonance Valley disciples gathered here. From the four directions, the barrier of the four great law protectors, tearing out their own hearts and offering them toward the sky, unfolds, and all the fanatics within the area, filled with sincere devotion toward the god of heavenly punishment, are simultaneously being offered. Kururururung. Thunderclaps and heavenly lightning sweep the surroundings wildly. Wal Ryong widens her eyes. They are transforming into lightning. Countless disciples of Thunder Resonance Valley all at once begin transforming into lightning and are being transmitted somewhere. The disciples of Thunder Resonance Valley do not seem surprised by this sudden situation. They only kneel, clasping their hands together in prayer. Return to thee, return to thee, return to thee. All the fanatics, except for the 48 nascent soul elders who seem lacking in faith, undergo lightning transformation and are transmitted somewhere. Sensing an immense threat, Wal Ryong looks up to the sky. Something is coming. Return to thee, return to thee. Countless beings raise their prayers toward the sky, and at last, when all the disciples of Thunder Resonance Valley are made to return to some existence, Kururururung. Flash, Gook Guang and Yu Ryan, who are pressing the lightning spirit while fighting against it in the sky, are suddenly flung away, strengthening the lighting spirit. No, this ritual is. Wal Ryong clenches her teeth as cold sweat flows. It's a ritual that summons the spirits of lightning all at once. A method that, in exchange for human sacrifice, summons countless spirits at once to hasten the ritual. You vile cult bastards, how could you do such a thing? Mu Jiam and Bai Hua shout in rage and confusion at the wicked deeds of the fanatics. Wal Ryong too does not know what to do, shaken by the ominous intuition pounding against her head. Ryong ah, let's move. What are you saying, Seok-young? 0.2 inches. Her body trembles. Can you not feel it? Right now, it's not just 3 more lightning spirits that are about to be summoned. This is shiver. She feels a gaze looking at her from beyond the sky. That gaze is the same as when she, as a child, once received the gaze of the divine spirit of Sword Mountain. It is a god, the evil god of Thunder Resonance Valley, is trying to interfere with us. If that being just breathes a little more power into the spirits of lightning that are being summoned, we're finished. It's not the end, Ryong. What are you saying, Seok-young? You said it yourself. There is no free will. Everything in this world is fate. It is already fixed. Sensing the presence of the owner of heavenly punishment distorting the fate of the heavens and beginning to interfere with the vast cold realm, Wal Ryong lets out tears as she feels her brain go numb. You said it yourself, so then, how can mortal beings resist existences beyond fate? Ryong ah. Then, Seok-young takes her hand. It's okay. Even if the god of heavenly punishment descends, the fact that I am by your side does not change. The fact that I am holding your hand does not change. Itis said only what the heavens bestow as fate, but in truth, we also carry our own fate. Seok-young brings a hand to his chest and speaks. If our being born is fate, and our end is fate, then our struggle is also fate. What? 2 inches. There is no free will. We cannot live as we wish. But, within absolute fate, we can still choose what shape we take, we can choose at least that much. What do you mean by taking shape? Even if you change shape, you can't escape the situation. At best, it might not make even a speck of difference. But we can change at least a speck. What meaning does that even have? All change originally begins from such a speck. At the very least, we can announce the beginning of change. Wal Ryong looks at Seok-young. Is it because of his youthful form? Or is it because of her genius talent? Or is it because of their master's favoritism? All this time, she has unconsciously thought of Seok-young as younger than herself. But in this moment, for some reason, Seok-young looks like an existence older than anyone else. Even if nothing changes right away, the single trajectory I swing may become the cornerstone of change. Just as the beginning of immortal cultivation starts from the most basic act of creating the field of the heart 73 Dantian through the power of yin-yang and 5 elements. Was born at the core formation stage, so I do not know such things. This time you came to understand the perspectives of those of chi refining and chi building. As you live, you will come to understand such things too. So, Ryong ah, let's clench. As Wal Ryong unconsciously senses the transcendent divine presence and falls into despair, Seok-young takes her hand and raises her up. Let's live, struggling. Then, maybe, we'll be able to know more. What if, no matter what we do, there's no hope, and no matter what we do, there's no chance of living? Then, at the very least, we should try so that we can die in the shape we want. At those words, Wal Ryong suddenly becomes curious. Who did you learn such words from? At that, Seok-young smiles faintly, summons a radiant sword, and flies toward the corpses of the 4 great law protectors who lift their hearts to the sky and form the formation. And he lets out a single line. From Ryong. Wal Ryong is confused by those words. Has she ever said such a thing? She hasn't. The Ryong Seok-young speaks of must be another Ryong. Suddenly, Wal Ryong thinks. She feels unbearably envious. The existence of another Ryong, who received Seok-young's gaze makes her feel ridiculously jealous. I can do it, too. That jealousy, and that anger. Within them, she finally rises to her feet. She thinks she knows what Seok-young intends to do. You're going to smash the foothold for the god's descent, aren't you? Fine, I'll do it, Suat. She pushes her talent to the extreme. She mobilizes all her senses, recalling that moment when she once received the call of the divine spirit of Sword Mountain when she severed the connection between her disciple and the god. I will sever the connection between the god of heavenly punishment and this altar. She enters into the domain of void. The other side of the plane of soul. The darkness world where everything is empty. There, she senses innumerable weaves of results. This is the thread of the god of heavenly punishment. That thread is unimaginably violent, as though endlessly transforming. It seems impossible that she could sever it. But she stirs her anger. Anger at the situation surrounding her. Anger at Seok-young who admonishes her. Anger at that other, Ryong, who received Seok-young's gaze. And anger at herself. Within that anger, she grasps the radiance halberd and draws a circle. Shikagagagak. The circle she draws expands toward the four directions, and thus cleaves the bodies of the four great law protectors positioned in the four directions. Jeong. The bodies of the four great law protectors, who are the foothold for the descent of the existence called the heavenly lightning banner. The altar, spread out with their bodies as its axis, collapses. The phenomenon of the whole world being covered in thunder and lightning subsides, and Wal Ryong gasps for breath. Mu Jiam and Bai Hua smile brightly. Is it defeated? It's a success. And Wal Ryong too hears their cheers and smiles. Somehow she feels as though she has taken one step further. Kururung. The body of the lightning sword high person, who presses Guk Huang and Yu Ian in the sky, falls miserably to the ground. Though Guk Huang and Yu Ryan are flung away, she knows. We succeeded. They have driven out the will of a god. An achievement that seems impossible, she has accomplished with her own hands. Junior sister. As expected of junior sister. I believed in you. Amid the cheers of Mu Jiam and Bai Hua, she controls her exhausted body and smiles. Seogyung, your words were not wrong. She thinks all is thus resolved. Yujik. Bai Hua bursts apart and dies. Kwang. Without even time to regain her senses, Mu Jiam is flung away by something and vanishes into some distant domain, and immediately after, Wal Ryong barely dodges a kick from some being. Kwang. And that kick comes directly into a slash, grazing her and carving a massive scar into the cavern where the ritual began. She looks up at the existence before her eyes. That being wears a red mask and bears the body of a spirit shining with golden lightning. Lightning sword, high person, 0.2 inches. Itis the state of the lightning sword high person when accepting the spirit of lightning. Looking at that faceless strange existence, she realizes the being before her is not simply the lightning sword high person. No, you are, 2 inches. And then, that existence utters a voice. My, percent, asterisk percent name, percent and percent. And Wal Ryong's ears explode. The true name of a transcendent. Jungma Mayan GMMMMMN and percent Ahun. Is a wisdom mortals cannot withstand. At the following voice, she has no choice but to abandon all hope. I am the god of heavenly punishment. Chapter 752 Light and Salt 8. Itis over. Wal Ryong's first thought is that what stands before her eyes is the owner of heavenly punishment. The being who governs the heavenly tribulations that descend upon every cultivation realm in this world. The god of Thunder Resonance Valley. They are in existence a mortal being like her cannot withstand. From the very start, she cannot understand why, in a ritual that summons the spirit of lightning, did the owner of heavenly punishment descend. And the god of heavenly punishment answers. I thought maybe a transformation in fate is occurring, so I descended to take a look. Quite interesting, I must say. Oi, I was read, the brain of a mortal being that moves by electrical signals. For lightning immortals, it is not difficult to read. What do you intend to do with us? Before I deal with you, I'll handle another urgent matter first. The god of heavenly punishment seems to smile, then rises from their seat and looks around at the 48 nascent soul elders who are encircling their descent body. You expected the heavenly lightning banner to come and waited to snatch it, but since I personally descended, it seems I gave you quite the surprise. Release her. She is not one to be imprisoned in your embrace and be humiliated. Seize her with your own hands. Have I not said it all along? Only that is a fate that has meaning. Until that fate comes to pass, she is mine. It seems you got excited by the generational shift of the 8 immortals and came as your main personality. As expected, you are hasty, young red pearl. If we suppress you here, your main body will become defenseless. How laughable. Are you saying you intend to block me right now with that cultivation? We are the ones who were taught the principle of Indra's net by them. We know the world far more deeply than you. The 10,000 lost spiritual lord begins to form hand seals, and the other nascent soul stage elders around them also form hand seals. By no means does our full strength fall behind you, O evil god. Kurururun. Starting from the 10,000 lost spiritual lord, ropes of lightning extend from them and link to the other elders. Then their ropes of lightning entangle and interweave, forming a great net that embraces the cavern. Wo Wang. Wal Ryong cannot even grasp the context of the conversation they exchange, nor does she know what they are unfolding. However, her instincts realize that that net, on a metaphysical level, is suppressing that lightning god's descent body with some transcendent power. Zero evil god who devoured the Lord, today this place becomes your grave. Regret for felling the Lord and not sweeping us away. It has no effect on Wal Ryong, a mortal being, but clearly something on a transcendent plane is pressing down on that descent body. However, the lightning god does not seem phased at all. Foolish. Do you not know this place is the middle realm overseen by my friend? If I merely contact my friend, she will crush you together with this entire middle realm. That is on the assumption you can get a message to your friend. Oh, I see. So you have set it so that no connection reaches outside. Excellent. That is right. Now you. But still foolish. Even after living together for several months, have you still failed to notice that hell is personally present? What? 2 inches. Even if a crisis should come that I die to the likes of you, as long as hell is here, I will borrow his power and revive. What? You say that Devil God is personally present in Thunder Resonance Valley? It is a lie, merely a ruse to agitate us. If truly that wicked mountain divine spirit is personally present in this place, there is no way we would fail to sense it. Ah ha ha, how arrogant. Do you think he would take a form that you could find with your power? And, Kwachik, Kwakijijik, from the spirit of lightning, an immense thunderstorm erupts. Cuff, block it. Wait, this power, what in the world, 2 inches. I am not a supreme deity, but a heavenly venerable. Kwang, Wal Ryong's head explodes the moment she hears the lightning god's words. Her soul throws all its strength into compressing and sealing away the dreadful information that has entered her mind so that it does not affect her. Supreme deity, heavenly venerable. In her mind, the afterimage of a black sky is naturally reflected. Upon that black sky, 10 seats are shining brightly. Not only do I occupy a position among the heavenly seats, but I have also seized the divinity of anger and united with the seat. Kurring, Kurururum. The lightning god's descent body runs madly amok, beginning to push away the net of lightning of the nascent soul elders. Though the depth of my enlightenment may not reach your former owner, in sheer power, I surpass even them. Kurururum. Koot. This cannot bet. How can that wretch, that bug-like bastard draw out the power of heavenly punishment more strongly than the Lord? T2. Even as the nascent soul elders cry out with tears of blood, the lightning god only chuckles and releases more power. You cannot defeat me. Acknowledge it now. I am your lord. I cannot acknowledge it. You are nothing but a phantom that flickers briefly like Yongsu Jin and then disappears. We do not serve a phantom as lord. I'm curious what you would think if you knew how your lord thought of that phantom. Kururum. The lightning god stretches one hand to the sky, then makes a grasping motion. At the same time, the net unfolded by the nascent soul elders ripples even more. Can you even attack like this? If you had come in your main bodies and unfolded it, perhaps, but with mere clones, it is laughable. Chijijik. Regenerating her burst head and barely digesting the immense knowledge, Wal Ryong listens to those words and looks toward the 48 nascent soul elders. Clones, 2 inches. Then, the 10,000 lost spiritual lord cheers and shouts. Even so, we succeeded in suppressing most of your descent body's power. If it comes to this, we must even borrow the hateful power of the 8 immortals, must we not? Wal Ryong, I have known you are a disciple of the Radiant Spirit sect. At the 10,000 lost spiritual lord's words, Wal Ryong flinches in surprise. We too are spies who hid our realms and infiltrated Thunder Resonance Valley to eradicate this evil god. Let us combine our strength and exterminate that lightning god together. We have deployed a formation that seals away most of the power of the evil god's descent body, so now they can no longer exert their true might. They can only face you with mere brute combat. If you two are clones, does that mean you are high beings directly connected to that evil god? Let us say it is so. Could it be, you are at least quasi-immortals of the entering nirvana stage? At those words, Seok-young briefly looks up at the sky and mutters, so this is what it feels like, and the lightning god turns their back on Wal Ryong and shudders. And the 10,000 lost spiritual lord along with the 48 nascent soul elders make the same absurd expression as when Mujeom and Bai Hua scratch their belies. Well, let us say that is so. But in the end, the Jade Pivot 48 lightning heavenly great immortals under the heavenly punishment supreme deity agree with that statement with strange expressions, fearing that if they speak of their true bodies, Wal Ryong will die. Supreme deity, heavenly venerable. Wal Ryong recalls the black sky and the 10 seats beneath that sky she just glimpsed through the lightning god's wisdom. When one becomes a true immortal from a quasi-immortal, does one become inscribed upon a heavenly seat and receive the title of supreme deity or heavenly venerable? Even in the Radiant Spirit sect, information about true immortals is considered to be poison and not passed down, so Wal Ryong has never been taught anything about the realms or the society of true immortals. Thus, she only thinks that the lightning god before her is a true immortal, and that those nascent soul elders are merely entering nirvanas disguised as nascent soul stage cultivators. I am going crazy. Well, since she is merely a mortal being who knows nothing about the true immortality, she has no choice but to think so. The lightning god, as if something is amusing, reads Wal Ryong's thoughts and chuckles heartily, and Wal Ryong glares at them at that sight. I would appreciate it if you stopped reading my thoughts. Of course, she does not expect such a request to work. Her opponent is a true immortal. Her proposal is nothing but the chirping of a chick. Stop thinking. She stops all thought and moves only by the memories engraved in her body. Sword. She tries to summon a radiant sword. After all, her specialty has always been the sword. But she cannot. Damn, she still recalls the terrifying vision that girl with a ponytail showed her. The fear she engraved into Wal Ryong binds her hands. Even now, she still cannot grasp a sword. In the end she summons something other than a radiant sword. The light of the radiant spirit sword formula gathers in her hand and condenses a radiance halberd. She thrusts the halberd toward the lightning god before her and mutters. Disciple of the radiant spirit sect, Wal Ryong. I request a life and death duel with the god of heavenly punishment. Haha, a life and death duel. Life and death hold no meaning for us, but I understand what you mean, so I accept. Chiok. With one hand behind their back, the lightning god casually beckons Wal Ryong with his other hand. Immediately, Wal Ryong and the lightning god clash. Kwang. Fast. Her opponent moves at lightning speed by default. Their baseline is lightning speed, and at times they even show movements reaching light speed. Fast, but not to the extent I can't respond to. The barrier unfolded by the 48 elders seems to suppress their authority. I can match their speed. The only thing left is. She gradually unites her mind with the halberd and unleashes a fierce offensive attack power. Chukong. Because of light speed movement, the lightning god's kicks and movements become massive slashes each time they unfold. She meets those strikes with her halberd, splitting them apart as she charges toward them. Sheeing. She swings the halberd and cleaves the lightning god's body in two. Kwajichik. But of course, they simply reattach their split body as though nothing has happened. The opponent is lightning itself. They are no different from a spirit of lightning. Therefore she must find an answer that tears apart the very phenomenon called lightning itself. Wo Wang. Something begins to settle in her radiance halberd. Itis an immortal art. Rain, sunlight, heat, cold, wind, time. Itis the basic immortal art and formula of the integration stage. The power of the immortal art various omens gathers into her radiance halberd and begins to suppress the transcendent phenomenon. So you at least know the basics. Calling a divine skill that the overwhelming majority at the integration stage cannot even attempt basic, the lightning god releases the hand behind their back and unleashes a fierce assault at her with both hands. Knife hand, palm strike, straight punch, cloth grabbing, outer leg tripping, countless fighting techniques unfold from their hands, and Wal Ryong, parrying and diverting their innumerable techniques, can tell. T's not perfect. This lightning god before her is not used to bare-handed fighting. They have simply lived overwhelmingly more years than she has, encountered martial flows of this and that, and more or less picked up martial techniques. Compared to opponents she faced like Yu Jin and Jin Wal Ryong. In the realm of marital arts, the lightning god appears to have far more openings. But at the same time, as she senses their habits, their unconscious actions, the flow of movement she feels from them, she comes to realize one thing. Damn it, they are not used to bare-handed martial arts. But there is a weapon they are accustomed to wielding. And the reason they do not draw that weapon now to fight her is simply because she at present cannot inflict any real damage upon the lightning god's decent body. Though, by wrapping immortal arts around her radiance halberd, she is able to suppress the phenomenon of lightning. Even with such clumsy martial techniques, they can easily evade or deflect her attacks. Wal Ryong has yet to draw out even a fraction of the opponent's strength. More, she experiences a flashback. Not a flashback born from the threat of death, but one she herself forcibly evokes. Wal Ryong recalls everything she has experienced throughout the entire span of her fey and begins to seek the breakthrough to escape this situation. And in a single instant, she finally finds it. Lee, this all, can you not do any better? I shall make it a little more entertaining. Suat. She focuses all her consciousness into the radiance halberd. Her soul is sucked into the weapon. At the same time, powerful spatial waves ripple out around her. Integrated Dao domain. Since reaching the integration stage, it is the domain she accumulated through endless contemplation and repentant enlightenment. Bright Sword Spear Star Rain World, Cent 838, S2 MTS. Her domain, where countless weapons in the form of starlight rain down endlessly from the black sky, cover the whole region in an instant, filling the heavens sword rain. For a moment, the lightning god flinches in surprise and shudders, but then they smirk. So it is nothing but a degraded version. Laughable. With something like this, of course, I do not dare reach a god. And then, the lightning god's smile has no choice but to vanish. Suat. The rain of weapons that fills all of heaven and earth. That world of light rain begins to compress. Kwajik. She compresses the integrated Tao domain. She recalls the duel between Hun Jin and Seo Gyung, and she begins to refine Hun Jin's ultimate techniques that she saw then into her own. Kulyuchijijik. The compressed domain is honed into a blade. At the same time, the blade of the honed integrated Tao domain is directly compressed and overlaid onto the blade of the Radiance halberd Wal Ryong holds. Jin's technique, is it? To copy it after seeing it once, so this is the next 8 immortal. Before the lightning god can even finish their muttering, Wal Ryong swings the halberd with all her strength straight at their body. Cut. It is not as perfect as what Hun Jin displayed, but it is still an ultimate technique that slices through the dimension itself and can directly strike even the divine body of a transcendent being. That single strike, manifested by Wal Ryong's hand, thrusts toward the lightning god. Heaven and earth seem to darken for an instant. All the light of heaven and earth is, for a moment, absorbed into Wal Ryong's radiance halberd. In that fleeting instant, Wal Ryong's radiance halberd cuts a massive scar into the lightning god's chest. Chijijijik. Astounding. To pierce through the defense of this one and wound this one's descent body. Despite having just imitated Hun Jin's technique and consumed an overwhelming amount of stamina and mental strength, she cannot help but sweat coldly. How in the world did that man, with such an aged body, use this technique, too, and even after using it, that being still? It is because, aside from the appearance of the scar, the lightning god remains unscathed. Do not despair too much. This one's strength has indeed been consumed, and so the time I can remain in the Saha world is greatly shortened. If you strike with a few more of such attacks, you may truly be able to end this one's descent body. Shiver. Wal Ryong trembles at the despair that surges up from the depths of her heart. Chiok. The lightning god takes a stance. It is not the stance of bare-handed combat they have shown until now. 'Tis the stance of holding a weapon. Spear, 2 inches. And at that moment when Wal Ryong realizes the weapon their stance is grasping, Kwakijijiked. Now that I have even created a weapon, the time I remain in the Saha world will be further shortened. The electric current drawn out from the lightning god's body forms a spear of thunder and lightning. And the instant she sees the being before her eyes grasp the spear, she feels an illusion as if space itself is sucked into that being. The next moment, Kwong, 222 inches. Wal Ryong, without even realizing what has struck her, is hurled straight into the corner of the cavern. Astonishing. Since you made me draw a spear, I thrust with the intent to kill. Only then does Wal Ryong realize that she barely survived because she instinctively defended through her halberd. Dangerous. The lightning god before taking up the spear and the lightning god after taking up the spear are completely different beings. I must stop. Kwong. Before her thought even ends, the end of the lightning god's spear shaft smashes into Wal Ryong's face. Wal Ryong's head crashes straight into the cavern and is shaken violently, and in that instant the spear is swung again, smashing Wal Ryong's forehead, abdomen, and legs with the end of the spear shaft. Will you make this a little more entertaining for me? With only a few thrusts, the lightning god drives Wal Ryong to her limits, and now the spear tip points straight at her. Wong. Point 1. Wal Ryong's radiance halberd swings toward the lightning god, and in the next instant, her body having regenerated, she throws her whole body at them. Good. Let us dance. Halberd and spear clash. The 2 long weapons collide, seizing control of space, striking while subduing both time and space. It must not spread wide. Wal Ryong's mind and soul focus entirely on her weapon and the lightning god's spear. Pour every authority and ability of the integration stage into this single martial strike. Integrated Tao domain, various omens, 5 elements axis, celestial energy guidance, perception of planes, the circulating power of all the blood vessels of her whole body. Along with the sacred light true force she received as a reward from Baek Jin, all of her power condenses into a narrow range and surpasses the extreme. Gradually, time slows, and she feels as though she is stepping with the lightning god into a transcendent realm. This is Before her eyes, there is a flower. Itis a paper flower. But in the next moment, she knows she herself cannot reach that flower. Ah, her fate. The fate of light, the one that grants her heaven-bestowed talent, forbids her from reaching that domain. The fate that forbids the envoy of heaven from entering the domains of earth, its and heart one. Within the darkened darkness world where all of heaven and earth are black, she clenches her teeth, feeling herself shackled by that fate. And at that very moment, the lightning god takes the stance of thrusting. Receive this. If the lightning god before holding the spear and after holding it are different, then the lightning god in a proper thrusting stance is different again from the lightning god that came before. A single thrust, the endless persistence contained within that spear of lightning. The strike of the piercing spear, tempered by refinement reaching 80 quadrillion. Entering heavens beyond the path. 80 quadrillion lightning-tipped spear. Wal Ryong realizes her lower body is gone. She is pierced. She does not even recall what happened. The lightning god took the thrusting stance, and that is the end. Through her radiance halberd, her integrated Tao domain, all her attraction force and cultivation. A single thrust pierced a hole through Wal Ryong. Chi-ji-jik. The regenerative power of the integration stage restores her body, but Wal Ryong only feels emptiness. If she is healed like this, she will not die, but there is no way the lightning god before her will allow that. Itis Wal Ryong's defeat. From all around, the silent exclamations of the 48 nascent souls elders can be heard. Even against a being who is spending most of their strength on the nascent soul elders, I cannot win. This is the gap between me and a true immortal. Even with death before her eyes, she feels strangely calm. If the opponent is at this level, dying is not something to regret. That being is a god. A being no different from the heavens itself. She is dying by the hand of the heavens. If it is to be killed by the heavens, she can accept it. She instinctively feels that she herself, her fate, comes from the heavens. If I am one who came from the heavens, then it is fine to die by the heavens. It's been a life she lived earnestly in her own way. Now, let's rest. Wal Ryong closes her eyes as she looks at the lightning god walking toward her. She decides to accept death. Just then, a certain figure appears before her eyes and blocks the lightning god. Wal Ryong's eyes open wide. Ho, young, 0.2 inches. Itis Seog Young. With a child's body, he has summoned the radiant sword and blocks the approach of the lightning god, and with those small shoulders like a great mountain, he stands between the two. No, move, Seog Young, you will die. It is fine for her to die. But for some reason, the sight of Seog Young standing before her makes her speak with an unknown trembling and pain. Seog Young, move, but Seog Young pays no heed to her words and raises his sword. Owner of heavenly punishment, I am sorry, but you cannot kill Ryong. Step back. At that arrogant declaration, Wal Ryong for some reason feels tears welling. Don't do it, stupid. You will die. The opponent is the god of heavenly punishment. The heavens itself The lightning god also seems to find the sight amusing and asks. Why go that far? At those words, Seog Young only speaks calmly. You're not asking because you don't know, are you? Seog Young smiles faintly toward the lightning god before him and speaks. Because we're friends. Ow. Wal Ryong trembles at that calm single remark. Tears come out. The lightning god seems to chuckle at something and trade banter with Seog Young, but she does not hear it. Something wells up inside her chest, tears cloud her vision, and her consciousness domain is shaken by emotion. Friends. Can one stake one's life for such a small relationship? Can one stand unflinchingly even with a transcendent before one's eyes? Seog Young, even though he must know he cannot win against the being before him. Even though he must know the opponent is no different from the heavens. Seog Young is trying to confront the opponent with all her strength. Just, for no other reason than that Wal Ryong is his friend. At Seog Young's one remark, Wal Ryong receives the feeling that the foolishness of others she could not understand becomes understandable. The cry of the colorless faction cultivator Tae Ryuk. And the struggles of countless low-level cultivators she has until now called foolish. All of that, she feels she can now understand, even if only a little. It is not that they rise under the heavens thinking they can oppose fate. It is that, for the sake of what is precious, they can do nothing but that. She understands Seog Young's words as well. You said free will does not exist. Once one has something precious at one's back, there is no other choice to be made. Only to protect what is precious, even under the heavens, one must never stop struggling. Itis when she gains that realization. Sot, Seok-young, who is clashing with the lightning god before her eyes, vanishes, and another being appears. Itis a familiar being. Countless glass sword mountains appear before her eyes. Once again a familiar voice rings through her mind. Do you desire power? And, this time, she cannot refuse as she did before. I desire it. Then, however, she knows. But, I do not need your strength. Every person has something precious to them. Whatever fate one receives from the heavens, if it is to protect that precious thing, one must struggle in whatever way they can. A person has no free will. The absolute that the heavens bestows, the absolute one is endowed with by being born from the earth. And the thing precious to oneself that becomes an absolute guide a person's life in only one direction. However, within those absolutes, if heaven and earth and what is precious ceaselessly struggle with one another and intertwine, then perhaps one can make at least a faint choice. Perhaps that may barely be called freedom. It is feeble and like a speck of dust. But all change originally begins from such a speck. I will strive, I will practice repentant enlightenment, I will contemplate my own strength, and I will advance. Before the devil god before her eyes, she rises while crying out in repentant enlightenment. As long as I repentantly enlighten myself, I have no need of your help. Begone, Suaa. With those words, the afterimage before her collapses and disappears like the foam of waves. Stagger, resisting the temptation of the evil devil god, Wal Ryong fully regenerates her body and looks at Seok-young, who is crossing exchanges with the lightning god. You've risen. Seok-young and the lightning god glance at Wal Ryong and start to match exchanges again. The moment she rises, the flow of battle instantly begins to tilt toward the lightning god. But Wal Ryong does not bother with such miscellaneous things. Chiok, can I reach it? Before her eyes is a paper flower. To reach that paper flower, she knows she must twist her entire body and hurl herself forward with a determination that surpasses even her own fate. Her focus is fixed only upon that paper flower. I will reach it, and she begins to run toward the paper flower. Before her, there is the boy who stands before a transcendent, calling her a friend. She did not know before, but now she understands. That boy has already become a being too precious to Wal Ryong as well. To protect what is precious, she decides to surpass her own limits. I will reach it. Suet, grasping her halberd and rushing toward the lightning god, she sees the illusion of the paper flower drawing near. Interesting. Step aside. Tune. The lightning god kicks Seok-young away with their foot and once again takes the stance of thrusting. The time of bitter training reaching 8 quadrillion seems faintly visible behind the lightning god, and Wal Ryong's eyes, nearly reaching the paper flower, gleam with it. A mortal being trying to surpass her limits, and a divinity who has already surpassed them. The halberd and spear of the two beings collide. All sound vanishes from heaven and earth. Excellent. Wal Ryong looks straight ahead. Her halberd is broken. On the lightning god's cheek is nothing more than a slight scratch, no wounds at all. I did not reach it. She knows she has failed to reach the paper flower. Truly a heaven-bestowed talent. A talent that even reminds me of myself in my mortal being days. The praise of a god. Within it, she closes her eyes. But in this world, there are realms that cannot be reached with talent alone. The place you seek to step, the place I have stepped, is precisely that. Even so, your battle was splendid. Though I am confined within the barrier of the Jade Pivot Lightning Immortals, since you have weakened my strength to this degree, this owner of heavenly punishment, acknowledges you. Now, then, Suring, the lightning god raises their spear. This is the end. And then, from above the pierced hole of the cavern, from the distant sky, a colossal trident made of red coral falls down. Kugwang, only then does Wal Ryong open her eyes. Even if I only bought time, that is enough. The reason she has been trying until now to erase her thoughts against the owner of heavenly punishment, who continually reads them. It is because, from the very beginning, the Thunder, Resonance Valley subjugation operation does not end with just this. From the very start, Thunder Resonance Valley gathered all the heaven and earth spiritual energy of the entire Earth Tribe territory. There is no way only the True Dragon Alliance Lord Yu Ryan would come. And then, Jaejayong, at the spot where the trident pierces. There, a red-skinned man of the Blood Shark race descends from the sky. Blood Shark race integration demon king, Gyo-yom. Quarerarara, glaring at the lightning god, whose power has fallen down to the level of the chi refining stage from fighting Wal Ryong, the True Dragon Alliance Vice Lord Gyo-yom lifts the trident. By the subjugation order of the Alliance Lord, I have come to subjugate the head of Thunder Resonance Valley, the Lightning Sword High Person. Chapter 753 Light and Salt 9. Kururum. Blood Shark Race Integration Stage Grand Cultivator, Gyo Yom. At his appearance, the lightning god chuckles. Well, look who it is. Don't you know me? Twitch. At those words, Gyo Yom flinches, but then he grips his red trident with a hard face. No, you are the friend of the Devil King who, long ago, invaded the human race, drove the human race out of the Sky Island archipelago and forced them to migrate into the Hard Tribe territory, and waged war across the entire Sun and Moon heavenly domain. That was you. Thinking about it now, you must have been the clones of true immortals. You may think so if you like, but is there not something more important than that? Kong, the lightning god's thunder spear and Gyo Yom's red trident collide. That day, it was this one and this one's friend who gave you the heavenly lotus fruit to save your wife. Do you not even remember the favor of that time? Come to think of it, where is your wife? Her lifespan is running out and she is slowly dying. My lifespan is also almost at its end, so I will soon exhaust my fate together with my wife. My wife is of the Sea King race, a distant blood descendant of the ancient Force Realm's sacred master Heilin. Because of the restriction placed upon the Sea King race, if she leaves the ancient Force Realm and uses power beyond a certain degree, she cannot live, and so my wife grew weak. But it was thanks to the heavenly lotus fruit you gave that day that I could save my wife by breathing in the power of the ancient force dwelling in the heavenly lotus fruit. At the conversation of Gyo Yom and the lightning god, Wal Ryong, who is recovering her strength, shudders. No way, betrayal. If that is so, she might really have to die without resistance. However, but if it was only about my wife, it would not matter, yet I have children. Who, because of Thunder Resonance Valley who inhales the heaven and earth spiritual energy of the Earth Tribe territory, my children who bear the bloodline of the Sea King race, have come to suffer the same illness as my wife. As they are mixed blood with me, they do not bear the Sea King race's restriction in full, but if the heaven and earth spiritual energy within their bodies falls below a certain point, they suffer an illness the same as my wife's. Zero Lightning God, I know well that day you saved us and bestowed grace upon me. However, how can you so inhale the heaven and earth spiritual energy like this and give such pain to my whole family? Why, do you drain the heaven and earth spiritual energy? Kwang, the lightning god, with only the strength of the chi refining stage left, flies backward along with Gyo Yom's outcry. Because an abundance of heaven and earth spiritual energy is not a blessing. Pachijijik, lightning flickers in the lightning god's eye. Have long held deep discussions with my friend, the one whom you call the mountain divine spirit or devil king. As a result, I arrived at one conclusion. Excessive heaven and earth spiritual energy sustains the immortal cultivation system, and because the power of the immortal cultivation system spreads to too many beings come to have excessive lifespans and undue power and come to wield tyranny upon those below. Chichijik, the lightning god rises with their spear and continues. Therefore, through sects that bear upon their backs my teaching, such as Thunder Resonance Valley, I wished to test it. If heaven and earth spiritual energy is reduced to the extreme so that even more beings cannot even enter the immortal cultivation system. If those without qualification cannot even come to possess power, whether the world will perhaps become a little better. What insane nonsense is that? Itis the heart. If one wishes to hold power, then let one polish one's own heart to come to repentant enlightenment regarding what is good and what is evil, and if only the good can hold power, will the world not become even more peaceful? Nonsense. Kwarururum. Gyo Yom's integrated Tao domain unfolds. The surroundings fill with a sea of blood. Nonsense, you say, too. How do you treat other races? Has there been a time where you did not raise mortal races under the moniker, slave race, and abuse them? You are all endlessly cruel to the weak, yet you spout strange words. What I mean is, that peace is nothing but by your standards. Kwa, the lightning god's spear techniques are formidable. With only the strength of the chi refining stage, they match the integration grand cultivator, Gyo Yom. No, at a glance, it even looks as though Gyo Yom is hurling himself with full force, trying to bring down the lightning god's spear of lightning with the sea of blood. To Wal Ryong, it still feels as if the lightning god holds the upper hand in battle. Is that the enlightenment of a god? Quite literally, the opponent is the god of lightning, the one who wields heavenly punishment. For that reason, even though only the strength of the chi refining stage remains, their lightning still overwhelms the integration stage. Why in the world do you say lowering heaven and earth spiritual energy to make one polish the heart is for peace? Do not spout hypocrisy. You It is all only by your standards. Do not recklessly judge those below with the eyes of a higher being. Oh God, do you know? The overwhelming majority of the Earth tribe, we demon race, from birth have no reason, and only upon reaching the peak of the chi refining stage do we gain reason. Then only upon reaching the chi building stage do we gain complete reason. You say one must polish the heart to grow strong. Ridiculous. Then we demon race, who only gain reason and intellect upon reaching the peak chi refining stage, how are we to polish the heart? You say polishing the heart is to make us realize clearly the discernment between good and evil, but what is good, what is evil? If a chi refining demon beast, hungry, eats an ordinary beast that has not yet reached chi refining, is that evil, or is it good? If a chi building demon beast skewers a chi refining bug demon on a branch to eat later, causing it pain, is that evil or is it good? Our world is of the wild. Only after gathering heaven and earth spiritual energy and reaching the transformation stage can one shed wildness and speak peacefully of peace. Yet even such is narrowly understood with the eyes of the heaven tribe, and for what justice, by your own measure alone, do you bring suffering to my children? Kwarururum. Kwa. A tidal wave rises from the sea of blood. The tidal wave surges over the lightning god's spear of thunder, and as the lightning god listens to Gyo-Yom's words, they no longer resist. Somehow, it feels as though the lightning god has taken a blow. Have been foolish. I am sorry. Chua. The tidal wave sweeps away the lightning god's descent body, and at last the descent body becomes a single streak of lightning and vanishes somewhere. But I am not wrong, only that I did not consider every circumstance. My method is what spreads the vast cold heavenly circle most quickly. Pajijik. That is the end. Kurururum. As though they exhaust all strength, the 48 nascent soul elders, whom Wal Ryong suspects are the clones of entering nirvana stage beings, all crumble into ashes and scatter. Suaa. Gyo-Yom's integrated Tao domain is once again absorbed into Gyo-Yom's body, and seeing that, Wal Ryong's eyes shine. Greetings, Demon King Gyo. I have heard much about you. I am Wal Ryong of the Radiant Spirit Sect. Ah, one too have heard much. You come from another heavenly domain. You truly are remarkable. Even before that terrifying divinity, you shouted and dismantled the god's logic. It is nothing special. How could a mere commoner like me shout before the strong? It was only because I saw the possibility to win did I read the situation and spit out the words I did. It was only possible because Grand Cultivator Wal already shaved down their strength considerably. You are painting my face in gold. Even if I did not shave down their strength, if it's Demon King Gyo, you surely would have repelled that existence well enough. All the more so as a practitioner of heaven and earth dual cultivation. She speaks, recalling that Gyo-Yom did not manifest the integrated Tao domain into his body but spread it outward around him. But Gyo-Yom shakes his head awkwardly and speaks. Heaven and earth dual cultivation, do not walk such a grueling path. The integrated Tao domain just now, it was my wife unfolding it for me. The Sea King race, who enshrines the Zyaji as their direct ancestor, once received a ritual method bestowed by the Zyaji, so by classification they are of the Heaven tribe. Pardon, your wife unfolded the integrated Tao domain together with you, 2 inches. That is, UBB, Kahayak. As he tries to speak, Gyo-Yom starts gagging as is and then opens his mouth wide. From Gyo-Yom's shark jaws, an elegant woman with blue hair and a thin layer of blue scales around her body pops out. Hello, my apologies for the late greeting. I am Hei-Jin of the Sea King race, the mistress of my husband's household. Ah, yo. Asterisk. Hei-Jin hooks both her hands and her own chin on Gyo-Yom's lower jaw, and looks at them comfortably as if Gyo-Yom's maw is a chair. At that bizarre entrance, not only Wal Ryong but even Seog-Young beside her wear strange expressions. Hello, nice to meet you. I am Seog-Young, a disciple of the Radiant Spirit Sect. Hello, young hero. You look cute. But may I ask why you are inside Cultivator Gyo's mouth? Ah, originally, among us marine creatures there are many who have unique cultures. Among carnivorous marine demon beasts such as the blood shark race, especially cultivators at the nascent soul stage or higher, there are many where the head of the family carries family members inside the body. From the start, our interiors have things like the 4-axis canopy and the integrated Tao domain, so carrying them inside causes no problem. Then perhaps the sea dragon race as well, 2 inches. Pardon, why suddenly? I do not know well. But the probability is high. No, it is just that there is a cultivator of the sea dragon race among my acquaintances, and that fellow also said he carries his family inside his body, so I asked. Seok-young finishes speaking as if thinking of something, and Hae-jin, from inside Gyo-young's mouth, giggles and chats with Wal Ryong and Seok-young. Ah, look at me spacing out. I am sorry but I forgot I have laundry hung out and I have been here like this. Then I will head back in for now, so later please come into my husband's belly and have a cup of tea before you go. Yes, then, just like an anglerfish's light or an alligator snapping turtle's tongue luring fish, Hae-jin beckons to the two a few times from within Gyo-young's maw and then disappears back into Gyo-young's mouth. Hearing the mention of laundry, Wal Ryong cannot help but suffer a major cultural shock at the ecology of the blood shark race, thinking they must have built a cave residence inside the belly. Gop. Once his wife's chat time ends, only then does Gyo-young close his mouth and laugh heartily. Isn't she a pretty wife? In the past she was once ill, so I roamed around diligently to heal her sickness. At those words, Seok-young wears a somewhat strange expression and asks. Now that I think of it, when you fought the lightning god, I heard that you wandered around to find the heavenly lotus fruit. At that time too, did you carry your wife, in your belly? 0.2 inches. Oh dear, how could that be? When she was ill, how could I, wandering dangerous places, carry my wife in my belly? Instead, I took half of my wife's brain and always carried it in my belly. The area where I went to obtain the heavenly lotus fruit to give to my wife is an area related to my wife's progenitor, the immortal beast Zyaji, so at that time I received help from my wife's brain in real time to find the path. At the strange ecology of the blood shark race, Seok-young is dumbfounded yet also fascinated. And at times when I explosively spit out venomous words, that too is greatly due to my wife's influence. When my wife flares with 1,000 flames inside, she spews out venomous words, and I simply spew them out through my mouth the same way. Then when you curse the paired-winged race cultivator, calling the paired-winged race grand cultivator a bedwetter, that too. Pardon. 0.2 inches. No, it is nothing. It is just that your ecology is different from the human race, so I found it fascinating. Ha ha ha, I see. Gyo-young laughs heartily, and Wal Ryong and Seok-young laugh together as well. Thus, the mission Wal Ryong received from the Radiant Spirit sect to subjugate Thunder Resonance Valley is successfully completed. Wal Ryong and Seok-young ride the teleportation formation prepared by the Earth Tribe and pass through several regions on their way back to the human race territory. As for Mu Jiam and Bai Hua, struck dead in a single blow by the lightning god or left fatally wounded, since they are at the integration stage, they will be able to revive at the cost of losing cultivation instead. We can soon return. Yes, let's go back. Let's return and proudly tell Master that we subjugated Thunder Resonance Valley with our own strength, Ryong Ah. Then this time even Master will. At Seok-young's words, Wal Ryong smiles faintly and hugs Seok-young from behind. Do not need it, Master's praise. What do you mean, Ryong Ah? I'll think I no longer need Master's praise. She, in this subjugation expedition, smiles gently as she confirms the sprout growing in her heart. She has gained something precious. Something so much more precious that it can't compare to anything she once believed to be precious. Therefore, she no longer needs to strive for the recognition of others. She smiles, feeling her heart lighter than ever before. When we reach the human race territory, let's send the subjugation completion signal to the Radiant Spirit sect, and set up a descent array so that Master can descend into the vast cold realm. With about 20 years of effort, Master will be able to come. In the meantime, let's explore the vast cold realm. Alright, Ryong Ah. Seok-young smiles softly as he looks at Wal Ryong, who seems to have become unburdened. Human Race Grand Alliance, Heavenly Human Island. A hidden place there. Bai Hua revives. Looking at her own naked reborn body, Bai Hua clenches her teeth. She has died. She, a so-called genius, died in vain without being able to do anything. What are you, Wal Ryong? And yet, Wal Ryong defeated the opponent against whom Bai Hua could do nothing, and subjugated Thunder Resonance Valley in the end. A talent that reached the quasi-star-shattering stage in less than 10 years. A true genius, overwhelming herself who was once worshipped as a genius. Looking at that, Bai Hua clenches her teeth in inferiority. Senior sister Bai Hua. As word spreads that Bai Hua has revived, other disciples of the Radiant Spirit sect who are waiting nearby rush to her side and quickly clothe her. Hurry, are you not going to move faster? Eek, sorry. Among the disciples who ride together on the Radiance ship are those at the Heavenly Being stage and above who ascended to the vast cold realm at the request of Mu Jiam and Bai Hua to accompany them. Word has it that the sinister plot of the GI clan has been more or less thwarted by the Radiant Spirit sect, and their master is delayed handling the aftermath. Damn it, damn it. In the midst of her inferiority, seeing Wal Ryong's request to set up the descent formation for esteemed One Baek Geom, she frowns sharply. Are you telling me to set up a descent array? Treating me like her subordinate? Ha, enough. From within her heart, inferiority rises. She cannot control it. Feeling inferiority toward Wal Ryong, she steps into a dark corridor. After all, she still must fulfill Wal Ryong's request. Just then, within the darkness, something begins to speak. Do you desire talent? It is something made of a sword mountain. Chapter 754 Light and Salt 10. Who are you? Bai Hua stares at the black silhouette before her and speaks. She feels it. The opponent before her is a being she cannot defy. If so, rather than resist, she will at least pretend to hear what the other wants and then politely refuse. Under no circumstance must I provoke that being. I am a mountain divine spirit. Mountain divine spirit. Bai Hua flinches in shock at the being's answer. She too knows all too well about the wicked mountain divine spirit. Startled, she looks around to see if there is a mountain and squeezes her eyes shut. All across Heavenly Human Island, there are not just one or two cave residences built by cultivators on mountains. To begin with, the hidden area she is in is also a cave residence hollowed out beneath a mountain called Gatap Mountain of Heavenly Human Island. There is plenty of room for a mountain divine spirit to intervene. Why has the great owner of mountains come to seek out a mere mortal being like me? I am not yet the owner of mountains. Yet, and also it is not I who has sought you. You have sought me. What do you mean? At Bai Hua's words, somehow a feeling as if the being behind the silhouette is. Laughing spreads. Do you not want to surpass Wal Ryong? That one line. At that one line, Bai Hua bites her lip. I can bestow talent upon you. I can give you the eye. It is an all too tempting offer. Yet even within that intense temptation she steadies her heart. But her chest trembles despite herself. I thank you for offering grace. However, I am a believer in the Amateus Buddha of the Heavenly King Heaven, a follower of light. Therefore, I cannot carelessly borrow the Great Mountain Divine Spirit's power as the Great Mountain Divine Spirit wishes. If I borrow your power, someday I will receive punishment from the Amateus Buddha. Please forgive me. Ha ha ha, do not worry, child. How could I drive you into hardship? What I will give you is not my authority but a portion of my enlightenment and talent. With such a thing, the light will never notice. However, I see. As Bai Hua hesitates, only then does the mountain divine spirit laugh as if in understanding. You feel guilty that you alone will receive that power. Then, I will show you a new scene for a moment. Now, look upon the disciples of the Radiant Spirit sect in the hidden area beneath the Gatap mountain you have made. TSTSTSTSTSTSs. At the voice of the afterimage, the appearance of Gatap mountain becomes transparent. It seems the mountain divine spirit has briefly lent her eyes that penetrate the mountain to her alone. Before she can even be surprised at the strangeness, Bai Hua cannot help but be surprised at other things. Quote exclamation mark. Those. The disciples who ascended from the Radiant Spirit sect to the vast cold realm at Bai Hua's order. Most of them are in their own cave residences, snorting suspicious white powder through their noses, or scattering it on the floor and licking it with their tongues while chanting suspicious formulas. She, being in the integration stage, can make out the identity of those suspicious formulas. Because if she transfers the power of this being she feels right before her into a formula, they would become those very formulas. Already, they are using your power. It is so. And, do you remember their faces? Bai Hua looks over their faces. Since they are only disciples at the heavenly being stage, she has not paid attention before, but now it is clearly strange. That one, he was only at the nascent soul stage until just recently. Even that child was only at the core formation stage not long ago. He has a body well suited for my enlightenment. For more chapters visit novemberlfre.net. You too can become like that. Your cultivation at the grand perfection integration stage, stagnant for decades without progress. I hold in my hand the key to pierce through it at once. But, Bai Hua's body trembles. She is a proud disciple of the Great Radiant Spirit sect, and a believer of the Amateus Buddha. A follower of light, such a person as she cannot allow her body to be given to the wicked mountain divine spirit. Yet, the wicked mountain divine spirit's scheme finally breaks apart the deepest place in her heart. Do you not see that all of them have already accepted it? Even if one more such as you accepts me, there is no problem. They are all already doing it. Everyone is already doing it. That one phrase melts her chest all too sweetly. Do not worry. You may refuse. I will cause you no harm. Moreover, that attitude which somehow even feels kind makes it seem that perhaps the mountain divine spirit is not such an evil existence. And finally, this immortal is merely lonely. There has been no medium until now who could directly receive this immortal's will as you can. Among those there who strive to lick fragments of my power, none have directly faced this immortal's will. None less than you will suffice. Me. None less than me. That is so. Therefore, even if you refuse, this immortal will not harm you. I will only have no choice but to go seek out your friend Wal Ryong and make the same offer. What? She grits her teeth. Seek out Wal Ryong. You said I am a good medium. No, don't go to Wal Ryong. Fine, I will specially accept your power. Instead, promise me, never go to Wal Ryong. You must never lend power to Wal Ryong. Asterisk. Vow not to go to Wal Ryong in the form of a god. Gee good, then let me ask one more thing. If I take that white thing of yours, can I truly surpass Wal Ryong? You, and then, the divine spirit of Sword Mountain laughs. From the very moment you met this king, you had already surpassed her. Goo. Beyond the afterimage of the Sword Mountain. From that afterimage, she feels a gigantic hand reaching toward her. And soon, Bai Hua feels her whole body enveloped by that hand, her body heating up as her eyes roll back. There is no pain. What exists is only the boundless joy of communion with an unfathomable being, sharing transcendental sight and talent. She trembles at the ecstasy of wisdom refined by a transcendent being and infused into her to fit her being. Cultivation is repentant enlightenment, like tiny grains of salt gathering to form the sea. Build mountains through repentant enlightenment. A dark chamber. There, several cultivators gather, engaging in fierce dual cultivation. Wo Wang, sitting in a lotus position, they press their palms against each other, chanting a suspicious formula and endlessly circulating each other's energies in a kind of dual cultivation. All 6 cultivators are at the heavenly being stage, and the power flowing in circles between them as they press their hands together is at an immense level. It is when they are chanting that suspicious formula. Chijik, Chijijijijik. Suddenly, the 6 cultivators see a pure white light form at their center, from which a pillar of salt grows. Oh, 0000000H. A salt pillar, it is a salt pillar. They have come. Salt, please. The mighty salt of the great God. They lick at the salt fragments bouncing off the pillar of salt as if it's sacred water, fervently consuming them as they gaze at the pillar. Before long, an apparition appears at the center of the salt pillar. It is the apparition of a small boy. That boy's face is that of Seog Young, Wal Ryong's senior brother. And as Seog Young's apparition appears inside the salt pillar, the cultivators bow on the spot and cry out. Eternal life, eternal life, eternal life. We greet the envoy of the great mountain god. We greet the envoy of the mountain god. The revelation of God has descended. From God. O envoy, please let us hear the jade voice of God. The integration stage senior sister Bai Hua has also joined our side. Soon, centered around Bai Hua, we shall prepare here the descent formation that will summon the star-shattering esteemed ones Baek Jin, Baek Un, and Baek Jiam who have gone too far away into the astral realm to subjugate the puppets of the Gi clan in the earth boundary heavenly domain. Inside the dark chamber, within the pure white pillar of salt, Seog Young continues speaking, his form shown only as an apparition. God intends to act through the descent formation of the esteemed ones. Therefore, when we unfold the descent formation, we will replace the summoned target of that formation with the divine body of the God. Then will God personally descend to this vast cold realm. Strictly speaking, it will not be God's main body, but only a part of God's divine body shall descend. Yet even that alone is enough to easily pacify the vast cold realm and the earth boundary heavenly domain, and you shall obtain the qualifications to enter the divine nation. You shall cast off the frail flesh of humans and grasp the chance to become a higher race. Oh God, God's white thing, make the white thing even more. Do you really have to speak of salt in that fine. Do as you please. Soon the time of revelation shall come upon this land. Now then, all of you, come close to this envoy, and be baptized by the eye so that you may better see the will of God. At those words, the 6 cultivators crawl on all fours towards Seog Young's apparition, and Seog Young, briefly wondering why they have to crawl in such a way, sighs and reaches out a hand to them. Before long, In the eyes of the 6 cultivators, the pure white character for supervision is engraved. It is the eye of God. A few days later, the 7 members of the esteemed One Descent Formation installation teams, centered on Bai Hua, busily go about constructing the formation that will summon the star-shattering esteemed ones. This immortal's divine body, go to the earth boundary heavenly domain and become the cornerstone that accomplishes this immortal's grand plan. Granting a fate to the dragon-shaped existence born from the hair, which possesses power at the sacred vessel stage and above from birth, the faceless white collar robe mountain divine spirit reclines their body once more upon the throne of stars where they sit. Flash, Wal Ryong, Seo Gyung, and also Mu Jiam, whose whole body was shattered but is in the process of recovering, traverse the Earth tribe territory through the teleportation formation. Even for integration stage grand cultivators, one cannot recklessly use inter-territory teleportation formations, so once they use a teleportation formation, they must wait at least 10 days before they can take the teleportation formation to the next region. Because of this, Wal Ryong ends up having no choice but to take an unexpected tour of the vast cold realm. This place is. It looks to be a place called the Light Spirit Pond of race called the Cold Spirit Race. Seo Gyung smiles brightly as if he is feeling delighted as he looks around. Wal Ryong looks at the Cold Spirit Race, who are similar to the human race but have slightly bluer skin and exude cold energy. But this is. But what catches her attention is the lake called the Light Spirit Pond. A gigantic lake, made literally of life force itself. Looking at that golden lake, Wal Ryong cannot help but marvel at the strange beauty she is seeing for the first time. I didn't realize it then, but now I see the Light Spirit Pond was formed from heart fragments clumping together and sinking down toward the belly, where it later pooled divine blood. Their heart ruptured in an instant and the pieces clumped together. Just how did they get struck? Seo Gyung, what did you say? Nothing, just letting my imagination run a little. Look, there's a guide tablet written over there, right? Where Seo Gyung points, there is an inscription about the legend of how the Light Spirit Pond was created. It is a legend about how in ancient times, when heaven immortals waged war, the bloodline spilled by one heaven immortal fell here and formed the Light Spirit Pond. Oh ho, the blood of a heaven immortal. Wal Ryong, curious, approaches the Light Spirit Pond and buys a few drops of its water from a cold spirit race selling it, and drinks it down. Wal Ryong instantly feels life force spreading through her entire body and smiles. Seo Gyung, if we infuse this into senior brother Mu Jiam, I think he will recover in no time. I think so too, Ryong. Unexpectedly finding a miraculous elixir that can quickly heal Mu Jiam within another race's territory, Wal Ryong buys a large amount of Light Spirit Pond water and begins sightseeing cheerfully with Seo Gyung. The Cold Spirit race's territory is indeed mysterious. As befits a race that handles cold spirit, yin energy and cold energy are everywhere, but thanks to that refreshing chill, countless spirit herbs bloom around the Light Spirit Pond. Fields of spirit herbs are spread all over, and if one goes a bit farther out of the territory, there is a dense jungle. It's beautiful. We should have looked around the True Dragon Alliance a bit more too. Haha, at your level you'll soon step into the star-shattering stage and will be able to sightsee the True Dragon Alliance as much as you want. Ahaha, even for me, the star-shattering stage is a little bit much. I'll challenge it in a few hundred years. Chatting with Seo Gyung, Wal Ryong enjoys sightseeing as they fly through the jungle around the Light Spirit Pond. After flying for some time around the Light Spirit Pond, Wal Ryong suddenly sees ahead the unique cold energy of the Cold Spirit race clashing with fearsome yin energy and ghostly energy. That's, someone is fighting. Let's go, it'll be fun. Thinking it will be interesting, Wal Ryong tucks Seo Gyung at her waist and flies toward where the battle is taking place. There, 2 groups are engaged in battle. Oh, over there is Black Ghost Valley. She spots a familiar banner on one side and flinches in surprise, then realizes that those fighting on the other side are the native forces of the Cold Spirit race and feels puzzled. Soon after, the cultivators of Black Ghost Valley notice Wal Ryong's presence and brighten with smiles. It is a Grand Cultivator of the human race. Lord Grand Cultivator, please come here and hear our grievances. At those words, the faces of those on the Black Ghost Valley side brighten, while the faces of the Cold Spirit race natives darken. What is going on here? Greetings, Lord Grand Cultivator. I am a Black Grand Elder of Black Ghost Valley, Wei Zhou. But are you truly human? In truth my parents are ghostly creatures from the Nether Ghost realm. My father is of Jiangxi origin, but since the body that serves as the base of Jiangxi is that of the human race, I am more or less treated as a member of the human race. Looking at the burly man who introduces himself as Wei Zhou, Xiaogyang's eyes shine. Hoo, Black Ghost Cultivator Wei Zhou. Nice to meet you. I am Xiaogyang, a fellow disciple of Grand Cultivator Wall here. Ah, nice to meet you, Lord, Grand Cultivator Xiao. Wei Zhou glances at Xiaogyang, who is carried at Wall Ryong's waist, sees that he is only at the early integration stage, and pays him little mind before grinning at Wall Ryong instead. Since he possesses a cultivation that is a half a step beyond the grand perfection 4-axis stage, he apparently does not wish to show much courtesy to Xiaogyang who is only at the early integration stage. This guy, did he fall for Wall Ryong? Reading Wei Zhou's attitude and intent, Xiaogyang smirks, and Wall Ryong, perhaps sensing a bit of Wei Zhou's attitude as well, twitches her brows, steps back a pace, and speaks. Indeed, it is good to meet you, Wei Zhou. So, what are you doing now with the Cold Spirit Race natives? Ah, that, we purchased land in the Cold Spirit Race territory to open a Black Ghost Valley Cold Spirit Race branch within their territory. It was land the Cold Spirit Race themselves sold cheaply, saying it had been ruined hundreds of thousands of years ago. But when we actually developed the land and tried to establish the Black Ghost Valley branch, they opposed us to death. This land is land we of Black Ghost Valley purchased legitimately, yet no matter how many times we explained, they refused to vacate, so it came to a clash of force. Did you perhaps smash all the houses of the native forces living here and tell them to get out? How could that be? They are people who believe the old superstitions of this land, and they are doing this because they claim some nightmare is buried beneath it. They are doing this because they believe a legend that if the power of that nightmare awakens, the Cold Spirit Race will be destroyed. At Wei Zhou's words, the Cold Spirit Race side shouts loudly. Do not lie, you ghostly creature bastard. If you were truly only building a branch, we would have stayed still. But did you not deliberately seek to awaken the nightmare sleeping beneath this land? What nonsense. And whether I do awaken the nightmare or not, this land and everything in it is something I obtained through a legitimate transaction with the Cold Spirit Race Grand Cultivator. Who are you to stop me? That nightmare must never awaken. Lord Grand Cultivator, please hear our words. Our Cold Spirit Race, hundreds of thousands of years ago, suffered under the dreadful nightmare and ridiculous talk. Hear me, since Lord Grand Cultivator has arrived, now is the time. Pour it. When the Cold Spirit Race tries to say something, Wei Zhou seems to watch Wall Ryong's reaction, then gives an order to the other disciples of Black Ghost Valley. At Wei Zhou's order, the Black Ghost Valley disciples form hand seals and summon something. One disciple flips the earth with the earth escape technique, and another, through water element spells, guides the water they summon to flow precisely down into the overturned ground. It is the water of the Light Spirit Pond. Seeing this, the Cold Spirit Race natives cry out with eyes flipped. Insane human race bastards. Hear me, everyone, sweep away those lunatics. Kururururung. 5 Great Perfection 4-axis cultivators on the other side unfold a 4-axis canopy and unleash powerful cold energy. It is a clear killing move, and since the Black Ghost Valley side has only one 4-axis Grand Perfection cultivator, Wei Zhou, normally that one attack should have blown them all away. However, seeing that killing move, Wall Ryong has no choice but to stretch out her hand and block it. Lord Grand Cultivator, you must not. Kururururur. And then, driven by the Black Ghost Valley disciples, the Light Spirit water from the Light Spirit Pond they summon finally falls all the way down into the deep underground. Wall Ryong furrows her brows. Did you use me? I apologize, Lord Grand Cultivator. For this matter, Black Ghost Valley will compensate. Yet if this succeeds, the pitiable ghostly spirits who unjustly lost their bodies and wander within Black Ghost Valley can obtain salvation. Please show leniency. It is just when is about to draw out the Radiance halberd to deal with Wei Zhou, who tries to slip by with only an apology. Grand Elder, it is coming, that has opened its eyes. Kugugugugu. Wall Ryong suddenly widens her eyes at the tremor that rises from the deep underground where the Light Spirit water was poured down. It is unmistakably the wave of an integration stage cultivator. And in the instant she comes to that realization, Kururururung, something bursts out from the deep underground. It is a puppet in the form of a hunchbacked old man with the wings of a bee. Clang, 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 clang. Strange circuits flow across the puppet's surface, and along those circuits the power of the light spirit water seeps in, awakening the puppet's strength. Inside the puppet, countless mechanical devices begin to turn and activate. Seeing this, Wei Zhou lets out a scream of ecstasy. It has come out. At last. At last we succeeded in excavating Nightmare. Ha ha ha, thank you, Lord Grand Cultivator. With this, our Black Ghost Valley can take a great leap forward. What? Can you not speak clearly? What is that puppet? Wal Ryong frowns at the puppet radiating unmistakable integration stage fluctuations, while Seok Young slips down from Wal Ryong's hold, his eyes tinged with a look of reminiscence. So that is buried here too. Wei Zhou throws back his head in mad laughter and speaks. From the ancient era of hundreds of thousands of years past, it is a legacy of the three great disasters that once swept across this vast cold realm. The existence who reached stars shattering through the power of puppets alone, the relic of the three great disasters, the Mad Lord. With this, Black Ghost Valley and the human race can turn the Heaven Tribe's two heads into three. Clang 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 clang. But before Wei Zhou even finishes speaking, an ominous clattering rings from within the puppet, and a red light bursts out. The crimson glow gathers in the puppet's eyes, and from its mouth erupts a voice. You dare to awaken me, Lam, the subordinate of the great elder Jo Yan, how dare an ignorant barbarian with no attainment in pup thief who activated the device without proper authorization shall be punished. Punish, nishpunishpunsa, chijijijijik. At that grotesque sight, Wal Ryong glares at Wei Zhou. You claim this is safe. Celestial energy shows me nothing but visions of it attacking us. Haha, please do not worry. Through the method my father taught me of seizing the circuit, if it's me, I can make that puppet into my very own body. I will show you. Beneath there, other than that one, there are many integration stage puppets buried. If I succeed, Black Ghost Valley can mass produce the integration stage at Kwang. Before Wei Zhou can finish, the hunchbacked puppet with bee wings smashes its fist into Wei Zhou's face. Zhejiang. Wei Zhou is struck and sent flying far away, and the disciples of Black Ghost Valley, who lost their boss in an instant, fall into panic. I shall turn you all into the soldiers of the fortress. Factory, activate. Coo-goo-goo-goo-goo-goo. At the puppet's voice, from deep underground comes the roar of something starting up, and a violent tremor shakes the ground. Seok Young, as if recalling unpleasant memories, speaks with a bitter expression. That is a general puppet with administrator authority, right? Ryong, let's retreat for now and request aid from the Cold Spirit Race Grand Cultivator. A general puppet is extremely. Step aside, Young. But Wal Ryong, with the face of someone who has found an interesting toy, draws out the Radiance Halberd and tempers the integrated Dao domain into its blade. A relic of the ancient disasters, is it? Shall we see what it can do? Clang. The general puppet opens its mouth and spews out a light beam, and Wal Ryong, smirking, deflects the beam. So this is the acclaimed power of the so-called three great disasters of antiquity. Immediately after, having its attack repelled, the general puppet opens its mouth again, and through the summoning formation inscribed inside, calls forth something. Kwang. Right after, Wal Ryong is struck by the combined assault of 50 integration stage Grand Cultivator class bio puppets summoned from the hunchbacked puppet's mouth, and like Wei Zhou, has her limbs smashed apart and sent flying far into the distance. Chapter 755 Light and Salt 11. Clang, clang. Seok Young looks at the hunchbacked puppet standing before him for the first time in a long while. Single quote. Was it the 11th cycle? The first puppet the Mad Lord sent to apprehend Seo Eun-yun. That puppet was that very hunchbacked puppet resembling the Mad Lord. According to the Elder's order, the plan to occupy the bright cold realm shall begin. Commence collecting materials for factory operation. Chijijijik. Materials found. Early integration stage Grand Cultivator. Begin capture. Chijijik. Begin. Chijik. Shishi shishishi. You. The hunchback general puppet keeps crackling and staggering, then reaches out a hand toward Seo Eun-yun, and Seo Eun-yun reaches out his hand in return and sends a voice transmission. Authority, wonderfully mysterious Fortress Main Castle's general puppet. Unit name General Seo. As a general puppet of the upper fortress, I request transfer of administrator authority. And with Seo Eun-yun's words, the transparent circuit he emits connects to the general puppet. Soon after, so that the others watching them do not suspect anything, the general puppet and Seo Eun-yun begin to converse by voice transmission. General Seo. This is an unregistered unit name. It is a unit that was rapidly constructed at the upper fortress. I also bring the command letter of the wonderfully mysterious fortress's main castle. Wo Wang. Through Seo Gyung's body, Seo Eun-yun assembles information entities he obtained long ago at the wonderfully mysterious fortress and hands them to the general puppet. Chijijik. Confirming the unit name and orders of the general puppet General Seo, possessing acting administrator authority of the castle Lord Mad Lord Zhou Yian. From now on, the administrator authority of the wonderfully mysterious castle's mass production integration class puppet production factory branch is transferred to General Seo. Quote. Mass production integration class puppet factory. At that terrifying name, Seo Eun-yun clicks his tongue. So after building her to the star-shattering stage, he made these and scattered them all over the vast cold realm. If he had been given a few tens of thousands of more years, the integration stage puppets mass-produced under the Mad Lord might have swarmed over the vast cold realm like a cloud of bees. Seo Eun-yun shudders as he imagines hundreds of billions of mass-produced integration stage puppets blanketing the vast cold realm like a swarm of locusts. No matter how great the gap between the star-shattering stage and the integration stage is, if hundreds of billions of integration stage puppets are mass-produced, it could be dangerous even for sacred vessels. Moreover, considering the Mad Lord's genius and disposition, there is no way he would command such a huge number of puppets with mere attrition tactics. He would have devised some plan through the puppets without fail. If the Mad Lord remained alive, the insane act of pushing aside the sacred master through hundreds of billions of integration stage puppets and installing the wonderfully mysterious fortress in the sacred master seat might have been possible. That is the might of the being called the Mad Lord. What was always frightening about the Mad Lord was not the powerful puppeteer, but the factories the Mad Lord created. At first, he mass-produced heavenly being stage puppets, then 4-axis stage puppets, then integration stage puppets, and after she was built, he might have even attempted to mass-produce star-shattering stage puppets. If Zhou Yian's goal was not Yian's play but rather to confront Seo Weil, then surely that would have been the case. All of that is now just a memory too. Seo Eun-yun, using the administrator authority, cancels the integration stage puppet mass production plan of the mass production integration class puppet factory, eroding the underground. Now this puppet factory will only operate for the purpose of repairing the approximately 50 integration stage puppets here. If a few tens of millions of years pass like that, just as spirit fruits, spirit woods, and spirit stones develop spiritual nature and become part of the Earth tribe, these fellows too might join the Earth tribe. Thinking that someday such a day might come, Seo Eun-yun, leaving out about 3 integration class puppets, embeds a prophecy within the remaining puppets so that no one can detect them. Originally, these puppets were not within calculation, so it wasn't planned, but if they are defeated, and the next enders arrive, perhaps it will become another arrangement to give to them. The prophecy and command that Seo Eun-yun embeds in the puppets are as follows. Someday, if existences from another world come, protect them, and if they possess a certain qualification, serve them as your owner and be loyal. Leaving an arrangement so that, at roughly the core formation level, one can become the owner of these puppets, Seo Eun-yun smiles faintly. The term otherworld does not mean merely another middle realm or heavenly domain, but a completely different world, so it will one day help the enders who come from another world. Memories with the Mad Lord that he never expected to recall flash through his head. Back then, they were so heartbreakingly painful it felt like death. But as always, wounds turn into nostalgic memories once time passes. Now, both the Mad Lord and Seo Weil are nothing more than one of his nostalgic memories. By administrator authority, I command. From this moment, after recalling memories for a while, Seo Eun-yun looks toward Wal Ryong flying from afar and issues orders to the 3 puppets remaining. The hunchbacked puppet, the supreme tiger race puppet, the western flame race puppet. Wal Ryong grits her teeth. It is humiliating. I let my guard down. She should have listened to Seo Gyung's words. She never expected such an ability. Even her short-term foresight through celestial energy failed to read it. I was overconfident, without thinking properly about the functions of puppets from the beginning. It has only been 2 months since she repelled the god of heavenly punishment, who resides at the apex of the immortal cultivation system. Because of that, her confidence rose too high. As she quickly returns to where she originally was, she bites her lips hard. Please, please let nothing have happened. Please. And then, finally returning to her original position, Wal Ryong feels as if her insides turn upside down. Boo-doo-dook. Quote. What are you doing? She growls as she sees puppets placing Seog-young, disciples of Black Ghost Valley, and the Cold Spirit race natives all into machine-like devices and violently extracting heaven and earth spiritual energy from them. Can you not see? I am collecting power sources. Quote. Power sources. The life force of integration stage grand cultivators, including 4-axis stage and heavenly being stage cultivators, is in itself an eternal power source for puppets. By extracting power from them, I am going to begin the operation of my factory. Quote. Let him go. What? Release. Seog-young, Bo-ung. In an instant, Wal Ryong grips the Radiance halberd in her hand and charges at the puppet. The Radiance halberd collides with the hunchbacked puppet's arm. And Wal Ryong cannot help but be startled. This guy, Wing, the 50 integration stage puppets that ambushed her have disappeared, but the hunchback puppet is still summoning the power of those 50 integration stage puppet comrades with one arm. And that is not the end. Clang clang clang. The Supreme Tiger Race puppet, the Western Flame Race puppet. The hunchbacked puppet draws the 3 powers formation, each forming a hand seal. Heaven, Earth TT, puppet, Kuguging. In that moment, as if the form of the 3 great ultimates appears within their 3 powers formation, an overwhelming amplification of power erupts and crashes down upon Wal Ryong. Even with her dimensional slash wrapped with her integrated Tao domain, Wal Ryong realizes she cannot resist at all before this power so immeasurably massive. Quang. Immediately, Wal Ryong is flung away together with her integrated Tao domain again by the force of the puppets. The dimensional slash compressed with the integrated Tao domain is advantageous when facing the absolute power of transcendent beings, but against a mass attack of overwhelming numbers beneath that, it is not so useful. Then what must she do? Unlike the lightning god battle, this time I must release my power. But she furrows her brows. Damn it, 3 great disasters. Just what kind of bastards are they? Even if she releases her full strength as a quasi-star-shattering stage cultivator, she does not think she can overcome that amplification of power. The Mad Lord system puppets possess such absurd performance that even she cannot dare to reach. Single quote. Not compression. That is why she does not release power, but instead once again focuses her consciousness into the dimensional slash. This blade mounted on the halberd. Keying. She does not spread it wide. Rather, she hones that sharp energy to the utmost and sheaths it over her own body. She makes the Radiance halberd and herself become one. Pats tss. Wal Ryong's eyes shine. I will force those things into close combat. The divine power of this dimensional slash compressed by the integrated Tao domain can cut through everything. But though it can cut everything, it cannot defend against everything. Therefore, it is useless against puppets that summon such brute force and rain down brute bombardments. Therefore, she wraps that sharpness around her entire body. She becomes the halberd itself. She feels as if her mind itself is becoming a blade, and in that moment, she realizes something. From here, if I take just one more step, it feels like her mind, her soul, itself will truly become a blade. It feels like she will become a woman of iron. But she is afraid to reach that realm. If I become iron, will I still be able to hold Seog-young in my arms? To become unable to embrace the one she likes. She is incredibly afraid of that. Not yet. I can't reach this domain yet. Instead, Chuot, she takes one step closer toward the paper flower flickering before her eyes. I will come a little closer to there. Wu Wang, her consciousness domain, for an instant, becomes a blade. Kugugugu. Keeping her consciousness domain turned into a blade as it is, she drops down upon the 3 puppets below who are drawing the 3 great ultimates, and at last, Jaejayong. She directly cancels out all the beams they emit and arrives before the hunchbacked puppet that is extracting energy from Seog-young and the others. Hand over Seog-young. Crush the intruder. Wajijik. There is resistance from the hunchbacked puppet, but her arm, having become the halberd itself, pierces straight through the puppet's barrier and arm and every defensive motion, into the puppet's interior. It reaches the place that appears to be the puppet's power core. Wajijik. And at last, after she crushes the power core, she grinds up the remaining 2 puppets in an instant and approaches Seog-young. Quang. Rescuing Seog-young, who had been briefly contained inside a strange test tube-like device, Wal Ryong embraces him and speaks. It's okay, Young ah. I'm here. Quote. Ryong ah. Quote. I'm sorry for not being able to protect you. Wal Ryong feels as if her chest is tearing apart. Why is it? Why is it that even though it is another who is in pain, her own chest aches? She does not know the reason. But she at least knows this much, that it's the heart of a person. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Quote. It is okay. You still protect me in the end. Thank you, Ryong Ah. She resents her own heart for melting away at that single phrase. But she can tell, as long as Seok-young exists, I can avoid becoming iron. As long as Seok-young exists, she can remain human. That truth leads her into deep relief. And along with that truth, Wal Ryong realizes something. So that is how it is. She discovered someone who will keep her a person. This is, in a sense, the key to crossing into the star-shattering stage. Thank you, Young Ah. As she embraces Seok-young, she knows that even if she finally crosses into the star-shattering stage, she will not scatter into dust, but can remain human. Kurururung. The ruins of the Mad Lord are, by Wal Ryong, driven even deeper and eroded into the underground. Now, no matter how much light spirit water is poured in, those puppets will never emerge again. To try excavating something so dangerous without even properly assessing the danger. The cold spirit race quite literally almost faced annihilation. Quote. I am sorry. Wal Ryong scolds Wei Zhou. It is the truth. If 50 at the integration stage suddenly appeared and swept through the surroundings, the cold spirit race would have literally been destroyed, and even the nearby heaven tribes would have been swept in the disaster. Even more, if those insane puppets had succeeded in activating that thing called a factory. I don't want to imagine it. The fragment of the three great disasters would likely have descended upon the vast cold realm. Quote. But I thought I could control the Jaek. At Wei Zhou's excuse, Wal Ryong slaps Wei Zhou's cheek. Enough. If you make any more excuses, I will execute you on the spot as the representative of the Grand Cultivator Association. With that one reckless act, you placed not only the cold spirit race, but the entire heaven tribe in danger. However, be grateful that, at Seok-young's request, instead of imposing capital punishment, it will end with only dismissal from the elder position of Black Ghost Valley. Quote. Yes, Lord Grand Cultivator. Perhaps cowed by Wal Ryong's fierce scolding, Wei Zhou lowers his head, and Wal Ryong turns away from him, intending to return to the light spirit pond. Meanwhile, Seok-young approaches Wei Zhou and asks him a question. Quote. By the way, you said your parents are ghostly creatures, correct? Quote. That is correct. Are your parents well? Yes, since both of them are ghostly creatures, their lifespans are far longer than those of the human race. Their relationship is still strong. Thanks to that, I have many younger siblings. Haha, that is a relief. Take this and pass it along when you meet your parents. This is. Wei Zhou receives the pouch handed by Seok-young, and as he checks the contents, he makes a puzzled expression. What is inside is nothing but a simple lump of salt. If you say it is from a connection from the days of the order, they will understand. It is an elixir fitting for your parents who are ghostly creatures, so just show it to them once. Yes, thank you Veer, URK. As he looks at the salt, Wei Zhou suddenly becomes confused about who the being giving him the pouch of salt is. By the way, the distinguished one's name is, and at last, he scratches his head with a strange feeling. Quote. Who did I just meet? He forgets that the one he has met is Seok-young. Information about the being called Seok-young seems pulled out of his mind. Quote. I don't know. At any rate, though I don't know what it is, judging from the energy it gives, I should bring it to my parents. Their bodies are weak lately, so they will be pleased if it helps replenish their vitality. Wei Zhou looks at the receding Wal Ryong in the distance and gives a bitter smile. He does not spare a thought for the boy by Wal Ryong's side and only feels a pain in his chest. Quote. I want to look good to the Grand Cultivator, but life is not easy. Wal Ryong glances back at Wei Zhou and asks Seok-young, why did you go and give an elixir to that punk-like guy? She does not know what Seok-young gave him, but judging by the spiritual energy she senses, she guesses it's an elixir. Quote. Ah, it's just, because he resembles a friend I knew when I was younger. If it's when you were younger, that's when we entered the Radiant Spirit sect together. Even younger than that. What, why don't I know about your childhood? Tisk, you rascal, Seok-young. Wal Ryong needs Seok-young's soft cheek, and thus they return to the human race territory. Kurung, Kurururung, a dark heavenly escape realm. In that heavenly escape realm, some dragon-shaped existence is transforming in front of a descent formation that connects to the distant dimension of the vast cold realm. Wriggle, squirm, that existence is one that is influenced by the ideology, emotions, and thoughts of the great God who gave birth to it, and the reason it is transforming now is because the God who gave birth to it is immersed in some particular thought. Squirm. At last, that existence transforms into human form. It is the form that the one who gave it birth believes to be the best for unfolding martial arts. According to the thoughts of the transcendent who gave birth to it, the dragon-shaped existence takes a certain movement. It is a hand blade. And then, the voice of the transcendent existence shakes the heavenly escape realm. Through the hand blade, crush the heart and send it down toward the Dantian. A certain existence gazes with a transcendent sight toward the light spirit pond in the distant vast cold realm and mutters. That figure looks as if, by looking at the traces of damage on a corpse, they are thinking about in what manner the opponent killed the corpse. Downward strike, and then, the single strike that smashed vast cold's heart in one blow, bunched it up, and sent it down to the Dantian. The existence who traces back along those traces and analyzes them defines the identity of that single strike. The dragon-shaped existence takes a posture of bringing the hand blade down as if bringing a sword down. However, the transcendent existence seems dissatisfied, as if thinking something over. Then, at a certain moment, the transcendent seems to figure something out and their eyes shine. It is not just a downward strike. This is Wu Wang, according to the consciousness of the transcendent existence, before the dragon-shaped being that moves like a puppet, a flow of attraction force arises. Swishik, aiming at that flow of attraction force, as it brings the hand blade down, something astonishing happens. Kukwagwagwang. Just like that, a part of the heavenly escape realm's dimension is cut away and a massive scar is made in the void. Is this the technique of the Emperor? The transcendent clicks their tongue and closely observes the technique they have reconstructed. Attraction force that any cultivator at the middle boundary or higher can wield. A decisive technique of adjusting the direction of that attraction force and swinging an attack to match it. Considering that the downward strike's power is magnified by the addition of attraction force, it is literally the orthodox form of a downward strike. And the transcendent recalls the traces on vast cold's corpse and senses the dangerousness of this technique. A technique through attraction force can be resisted with attraction force. But it was impossible for vast cold. It was at the level of just taking the hit as it came. If so, it means that if one stands before the being they are thinking of, one cannot use attraction force. The opponent is the owner of fate and attraction force. To face them, attraction force alone is not enough to deliver a decisive blow. Therefore, their eyes shine as they speak toward the void. Are you prepared? From the distant void, a sinister wind blows in, and the Empress of Ghosts, who leads vast ghostly energies, responds. Prepared. Now, if we help Yin and together with the shadow of the artificial Gandhara, engrave upon the world, this will forever be the space where enders can inscribe their arrangements. See, they nod at her words, then gazes at the pale pink existence who is constructing the artificial Gandhara. Outside Mount Sumeru, gathering the gazes of the Radiance 8 Immortals. She too seems prepared. Then now, let us gradually begin the preparations. Kugugugu. The transcendent's gaze turns toward the distant vast cold realm. Toward Wal Ryong, who, together with the being named Seogyung, has returned to the human race territory and is preparing for the star-shattering advancement. Now, the arrangement of this immortal has taken its first step. The arrangement that will surely become a help to the distant future existences. And the key that will be the greatest aid in facing the great mountain supreme deity GWAKM. At the same time, while crafting the arrangement that may perhaps become a way to strike at the owner of fate, the god of Sword Mountain rises from their seat. Pot. From the center of the god of Sword Mountain, the silver-white light that resonates with their divinity. Brought by the fifth seed of the Radiance 8 Immortals, the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord, bursts forth. With light. At the center of that silver-white light, a faint black shadow appears, and that shadow rather looks like a black snake biting its tail. Inside the black snake biting its tail is a wheel of starlight. And within the wheel of starlight rests a white 3 great ultimates, like a radiant halo. Now then, before facing Great Mountain, to fully seize the Radiance mantra, shall we wage war against Radiance Hall? Kugugugugu. At the declaration of the divine spirit of Sword Mountain, behind them, red, blue, purple, pale pink, and dark red lights begin to line up. Kuguging. At last, the Great divine spirit of Sword Mountain, who for years shut themselves away in the heavenly escape realm to leave behind their arrangement, begins to step forth beyond it. TSTSTSTST. But why is it? The being called the Wicked Mountain Divine Spirit shows a measure of control over the power of the black snake biting its tail. And they even seem as if they are eroding part of the domain of light. Inheriting the lineage of Salt Mountain and eroding the power of Radiance Hall, that existence looks as if they are transforming into some transcendent being who unites light and salt. Let us advance. It is 7 days until the end of Radiance Hall. The red light cries out in excitement, and the presence of the divine spirit of Sword Mountain begins to spread outside the heavenly escape realm. It pervades the entirety of Mount Sumeru. Come, O light, for now, I am light and salt. Seeing that declaration, among the lights that follow them, some rejoice, but some voice concern. It is the purple light. But is it right to face them again so soon? Even if only to unravel the 2 Northern Dipper sealing immortal flags embedded within this body. But the divine spirit of Sword Mountain exudes confidence as they mutter. War must be waged. With the weaving of arrangements stabilized to some degree, the divine spirit of Sword Mountain declares a proclamation of war toward the forces of light. Though the mortal being Wal Ryong does not know, beyond the vast cold realm, in a distant world, above the plane of true immortals, with the cry of the evil devil god, war thus begins. Chapter 756 Devil Lord 1. Center of the Heavenly King Heavenly Domain. Palace of Radiance. Inside, 8 colossal giant gods of light sit around a round table, holding a council. That devil immortal has declared war on us. What a madman. Are they saying they will face us before facing the great mountain supreme deity? It must be an unspoken protest asking us to draw the Northern Dipper sealing immortal flag. That must not be allowed. We must aim to use poison against poison between the great mountain supreme deity and that devil immortal. We cannot carelessly loosen that one's leash. Then what shall we do? Must we expend all the god-killing spears we have accumulated before even fighting the great mountain supreme deity? That is not right. It is an inferior strategy. The gazes of the 8 immortals turn to the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord and Pearl Jade Heavenly Lord, who take on the military strategist role of Radiance Hall. What should be done, Sword Spear, Pearl Jade? It is too early to use our hidden stratagem. Therefore, weakening the opponent is correct. At Sword Spear's words, all nod. What is the best method? At Rain Dew's question, Pearl Jade answers. Name. That mountain divine spirit currently has no immortal title. There is no currently naming supreme deity to begin with, so it is a difficult situation to compose an immortal title. Therefore, if we instead confer an immortal title upon them and fix their attributes, we can weaken them. What is the current situation of the seat of naming? The great net immortals of the naming immortal Tao who were in hiding are struggling to ascend to immortal lord. Torch Candle Heavenly Lord, can you temporarily occupy the naming seat? It is possible. However, I will have to go on an expedition into the inner immortal domain of the naming immortal Tao. Immediately after the council, go to the immortal domain of naming and occupy the naming seat. After that, if the mountain god invades the Heavenly King Heavenly Domain, we will lure them here and forcibly bestow a name upon them. The Council of the Radiance 8. Immortals. There, they thus conclude to confer a new immortal title upon the mountain divine spirit through the naming immortal Tao. Then what name should we confer upon them? We must attach a name that is antagonistically weak to light. A name that, when receiving light, can melt them down violently suits them. In that case, a name containing devil is good. Right, all devils lose their power before clear righteousness, i.e. they are currently an immortal beast king. We also need a name that degrades the power of immortal beast king. In truth, only their realm is of heaven earth great net. They are in essence a governing immortal. We must pull down the rank of that governing immortal. We cannot drag them down blindly below great net immortal. Even by the power of names, it is at best uncertain whether we can pull them down one step. Then, let us grant them the title of Lord. Though it is an honorific too grand for a heaven-earth great net, it will be enough to drag their authority, which is to some degree at the governing immortal weight class, down to the immortal lord level. Then, for now, do we all agree to attach the name Devil Lord A? Agreed. Thus, in the Council of the 8 Immortals, the shackle and name to be attached to the divine spirit of Sword Mountain is decided. Weakening their power is one thing, but if the name does not fit them, in the end that one can shake off the power of the name themselves. We must include a name that is not awkward for them, one that explains their identity. Mountain must be included no matter what. That mountain spirit bastard. At least one more character is needed. What symbol do they have? They go around taking the wheel, salt, and glass as their symbols. For the Earth tribe, it seems their symbol is a spiraling candle dragon. How about Candle Mountain Devil Lord? Attaching the character candle asterisk, that is. Good, but if we do so, it will overlap with the immortal title of Torch Candle Heavenly Lord. The domain of Torch Candle will become important. Can you handle it, Torch Candle? At those words, the newly appointed Torch Candle Heavenly Lord clears their throat as if lacking a little confidence. In fact, after the naming Supreme Deity War, the one who wielded the Heavenly Void Furnace, anchored it in the Head Realm, and then died as the Torch Candle Heavenly Lord again, so a new Torch Candle Heavenly Lord has been selected once more. In such a situation, being given another burdensome role immediately makes the new Torch Candle Heavenly Lord appear flustered. At that moment, the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord steps forward. That one is a being who wields the Sword J. Then let this immortal divide the power of my symbol so that Sword J enters into that one's immortal title. Such a thing, Sword Spear. This means as much of the power of the immortal title weakens them, that much of your power will be pulled away. Will you be fine? This Lord is the martial force of Radiance Hall. I am a being that does not easily collapse. Do not worry, Rain Dew. Sword Spear. Ah, O Sword of Radiance Hall. Rain Dew lets out an exclamation in awe of Sword Spear's sacrifice, and the other Radiance 8 immortals also exhale silent exclamations at their sacrifice. You need not do so, Sword Spear. You are our martial strength. Your sacrifice may instead become an even greater threat to Radiance Hall. However, even at everyone's dissuasion, Sword Spear shakes their head. It is fine. This immortal is the vanguard of the Radiance 8 immortals. In every dangerous matter, I have always gone ahead. This time is no different. Chiak, Wu Wang, when the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord stretches out their hand, silver-white light extends from their palm and gathers in the void. Then, centering on Sword Spear's light, part of the light of the 8 immortals also gathers and engraves a certain name into the void. Sword Mountain Devil Lord Yu. That is the shackle of the 8 immortals created to weaken the immortal beast King Seo Unyun, and his new immortal title. It is the Mountain Divine Spirit's new name. Torch Candle. You head with Great Sun to the immortal domain of naming. Kugugugu. The Great Sun Heavenly Lord and Torch Candle Heavenly Lord rise from their seats. Shortly after, they sweep their hands through the void, and before them unfolds a completely different otherworld. A world of the immortal Tao of the naming seat that only those who tread the naming immortal Tao can enter. It is the naming immortal domain. Suat. Yet, though they are not ones who walk the Tao of naming, by the power of the Radiance 8 immortals they ignore the rules and step into the naming immortal domain. Immediately after, the 8 immortals rise from their seats. Great Forest speaks. Now when Great Sun and Torch Candle return after occupying the naming seat, we will all combine strengths and prepare a trap to bestow an immortal title upon the Mountain Divine Spirit. Until then, each of you, return to your own residence and prepare. After Great Forest's words, the Rain Dew Heavenly Lord clasps their palms together and bows toward the seat of radiance shining brilliantly above them. Glory to the Radiance Supreme Deity. Glory. With those words, the 8 immortals each return to their residences at the speed of light. The council hall of the 8 immortals falls empty. But after a while, a cluster of light gathers. Pats TSTSTSTST. Great Forest, Flower Plant, Pearl Jade, Great Sea, Rain Dew. Great Sun and Torch Candle, who have gone to occupy the immortal domain of naming. All except the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord, who has gone to their dwelling, now gather separately. You have seen it. The Rain Dew Heavenly Lord speaks coldly. At their words, all the Heavenly Lords let out silent sighs. Sword Spear is bewitched by the Mountain Divine Spirit. Even this time, wishing to cling stubbornly to the Mountain Divine Spirit, they contributed their own power into the immortal title that can exert the greatest influence on the Mountain Divine Spirit. Now, they must be executed. The Rain Dew Heavenly Lord particularly looks toward the Pearl Jade Heavenly Lord, who governs metal. As Sword Spear does. All the evidence this immortal speaks of has been laid bare. Though Sword Spear represents martial force, with a great battle imminent, they have meddled needlessly in matters that other Heavenly Lords should do, even consuming their own martial force, showing an irrational appearance. Furthermore, look at Sword Spear's light. Is it not gradually diminishing? Above all, that strangely emotional demeanor. The sense of incongruity about Sword Spear that comes as memories of past timelines return. All of it shows that whether they are bewitched by the mountain divine spirit, or have joined hands with the underworld and betrayed us, it is showing proof that they are a traitor. Even having come to this point, will you still oppose the execution of Sword Spear, Pearl Jade? O Executor Rain-Dew Heavenly Lord. Sword Spear and I are one body. I symbolize the yin bi of metal among the 5 elements, and Sword Spear symbolizes the yang bi. We as Taiji have always moved as one body, and we have always together repelled the enemies of Radiance Hall. Pearl Jade. That is emotion. It is true that we must understand emotion, but we must not be consumed by it. We must judge with reason. This immortal is rational. Rather, to begin with, Rain-Dew is not the very fact that you do not unilaterally execute Sword Spear but instead seek our opinion because the evidence of Sword Spear's betrayal is insufficient. Has it not already been confirmed that the wheel was used to tamper with our memories of other timelines? The Rain-Dew Heavenly Lord's eyes gleam. The timeline in which the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord slayed the mountain divine spirit Seo Unyun with the filling the heavens sword rain. From that timeline onward, it is felt that the underworld has twisted their history in a subtle way through the wheel. Because of that, the Radiance 8 immortals have still yet to fully recover their complete memories. At the center of that manipulation of memory is Sword Spear. To begin with, even the so-called other timelines are due to the strange authority of the Ender. Are we not still seeking a way to determine whether it is real? This immortal believes that only after the decisive battle with the great mountain supreme deity is over, and before we deal with the weakened sword mountain devil lord, should that matter be investigated. And if Sword Spear betrays us before then? If at the crucial moment they put a blade to our throats? Sword Spear will never do so. I have walked with the Sword Spear of that era since our mortal being's days, so I know Yang Ji Wang well. Pearl Jade. That is, I know. I do not harbor emotion beyond what is necessary. But it is true that the evidence of Sword Spear's betrayal is insufficient, and until decisive proof is found, I will defend her. If, even after decisive proof comes forth, you still shield Sword Spear, then I will have no choice but to execute you as well, Pearl Jade. I know, if I witness decisive proof, then I will seize the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord with my own hands and deliver them before you, Rain-Dew. Surik. The Pearl Jade Heavenly Lord removes the mask covering their face, lifts their gaze to the seat of radiance, and makes an oath. I, the Pearl Jade Heavenly Lord, upon the true name of Pao Wang, swear before the Radiance Supreme Deity, outside Mount Sumeru, the outer sea. In that sea of chaos, someone is creating something. What looks at times like a spirit of pale pink, or like a huge spool of thread, is tens of thousands, hundreds of millions of pale pink cloths gathered and fluttering. At the center of those fluttering strips of cloth, there, a woman is moving the cloths, creating something. It is a domain existing outside Mount Sumeru. That domain, comparable to several heavenly domains, is gradually coming to completion in her hands. Its name is Artificial Gandhara. The being creating it is the one known as the successor of Vast Cold, Kim Yeon. Kim Yeon, with her eyes closed, ceaselessly manipulates the cloths and weaves a dimension through them. Then, she suddenly feels a certain resonance ringing in her chest and half opens her eyes. You are Suat. Before her eyes, silver-white light appears to gather, and someone in a pure white silver robe and a silver mask appears. It is the 5th seed of the Radiance 8 Immortals, the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord. Resonating with the paper flowers blooming within Kim Yeon's full blossom, the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord thus arrived before her. I have something to ask of you. What shall I help you with? There is no small talk between the two, since they both already carry the same paper flower and are so closely connected to the owner of that paper flower. Trivial small talk and curiosities and the like are things they can know just by looking into each other's eyes. The Rain-Dew Heavenly Lord has, bit by bit, caught my tale. But perhaps they are not yet certain, as they seem to be in discussion with the other 8 immortals. The Sword Spear Heavenly Lord, Ji-Hwa, looks at Kim Yeon and takes off her mask. Ji-Hwa's bare face and Kim Yeon's face meet. After facing Kim Yeon for a while and briefly looking at Kim Yeon's hand, she smiles faintly. Refine me. Pardon. You are an artisan. I am metal. Seo Unyun is fire. With his fire, refine me and make me into his sword. Wo Wang. Ji-Hwa opens her mouth and vomits out something pure white. Kim Yeon realizes what it is and widens her eyes. It is Ji-Hwa's soul. I am soon to be killed by the other 8 immortals before long. I will not even be able to revive with the Heart Dao blooming system. The God-killing spear is a mantra for killing the undying. All means of revival are useless. Therefore, even if I die, let me be Seo Unyun's sword, wielded within his hand, so that I can eat his fire and be born again. Make my soul into a sword. Kugugugugu. Receiving Jiwa's spirit, which radiates an overwhelming presence, Kim Yeon looks at her. You have given me 9/10 of your soul. Yes. Do you trust me? Kim Yeon asks carefully. Though they have come to know each other through the connection of Seo Unyun, the two originally met as enemies. The Sword Spear Heavenly Lord has the fate to annihilate Kim Yeon. And, even as a friend of the human named Seo Unyun, the two are arch-rivals. To call them love rivals is also correct. But Jiwa smiles brightly. I trust you. She knows Seo Unyun. Because she has seen everything of Seo Unyun. Because she knows with what heart Seo Unyun accepted Kim Yeon. She knows what kind of person Kim Yeon is. Because he trusts you. Step. Approaching Kim Yeon slowly, Jiwa continues. Because he loves you. Chiok. At last, having come right before Kim Yeon, Jiwa presses her forehead against Kim Yeon's and affectionately strokes her head. And, because I know him. If it is love chosen by someone as pure as he is, then I believe that you too are surely even purer and more lovable than him. Kugugugugu. Sword Spear's spirit is sucked into Jiwa's hand. Before long, Jiwa's soul becomes a lump in her hand. I will trust in the sword you make. So, with his fire, burn my soul, and forge the sword. I will die later, but my soul will be wielded in his hand, and surely, feeding on his heat, shall awaken again. Handing the lump of steel held in her hand to Kim Yeon, Sword Spear speaks. I have heard of your power. They say you inherited part of the power of vast cold. Please, with your power, strike down hard on my soul. Whatever sword it becomes, I will be grateful to you. Yes. Kim Yeon trembles. In a way, there's never been interaction between the two. To the point that today is the first time the two of them have talked like this alone. Has she ever received such trust from someone she's met for the first time? Not even Seo Unyun did so. At this trust, she grips the soul of iron held in her hand and speaks. Yes, I promise. Her eyes blaze. As one who inherited the talent of the Mad Lord Jo Yeon. As one who inherited the heart of Buk Hyunghwa. She will forge this iron into something stronger than any Dharma treasure, stronger than any immortal treasure. I will make the greatest sword. So that Unyun Orabeoni uses it more than any other sword. Thus, outside Mount Sumeru, one heavenly lord and one heavenly king designate form a covenant. Firmer than any other, bound in trust. Thus, amidst the conspiracy of the 8 immortals and the secret pact between Sword Spear and Tridakna, at last, the Devil Lord of Sword Mountain begins to raise their sword toward Radiance Hall. It is the outbreak of the First Bright Sword Great War 9. Countless Middle Realm Sacred Masters, immortal treasures, and entering Nirvana quasi-immortals tremble in terror, and within that mythic war, those who inherit the bloodline of myths begin to receive ominous revelations. Huck. Wal Ryong rises from her chamber, gasping for breath. Normally, once one reaches the nascent soul stage, sleep is no longer necessary, but she is different. Sleeping and dreaming is the most effective way to digest wisdom gained from directly perceiving existences such as the Moonlight Immortal Walwoon or the Lightning God, so she prefers sleeping in order to absorb the wisdom of true immortals. However, because of what she has just seen in her dream, she has to gulp down cold water and steady her trembling body. What is this? Wal Ryong steps outside her cave residence and reads the celestial energy. The celestial energy is not visible. In her dream, she saw 8 immense lights clash with a wicked mountain god, and she understands that some great event has befallen this world. Right away, the fact that the celestial energy has become invisible is the first sign. The celestial energy has vanished. And immediately, she finds the answer revealed by her fate. Some transcendent existences are contending with each other above the heavens. Sensing that all the celestial energy she can read is being severed by the steps of those transcendent beings, Wal Ryong bites her lips tightly. I am still weak. Far too weak. She looks back at Seok Young, whom she dragged into her cave residence and is sleeping soundly, and thinks. The incident with the Mad Lord's puppets not long ago. The decisive battle with the Lightning God. She is still far too weak. I must become stronger. The world has fallen into chaos. Therefore, she recognizes she must become even stronger. Let's rise. Star-shattering stage. There is no time to wait for her master to come. Before her master, esteemed one Baekjeom, descends 20 years from now. She firmly vows to reach the star-shattering stage with her own strength alone beneath the sky. To protect Seok-young, and to stand before Baekjeom and place her hand proudly on Seok-young's shoulder. Wal Ryong enters her cave residence, ceases her sleep of digesting the wisdom of true immortals. Repentantly enlightens on what she has, sits in a lotus position, and enters cultivation. Thus, 20 years pass in an instant. In the human race territory of the vast cold realm, heavenly human island. There, at last, the descent formation to summon esteemed one Baekjeom and the other star-shattering stage esteemed ones of the Radiant Spirit sect is completed. Chapter 757 Devil Lord 2. Kuring, Kururururung. Vast cold realm, chaos realm region. There, an enormous storm blows in. Kuring, Kururururung. It is a gigantic storm of heavenly tribulation. Kuring, Kurururung. And inside that heavenly tribulation storm, something spherical rises into the sky. Ururung. Seeing that sight, someone bursts out in admiration. Indeed, so that is advancement to the star-shattering stage. As expected, Ryong is remarkable. Their names are Mu-jeom and Seok-young. With Wal Ryong's advancement ritual to the star-shattering stage, she gathered those to serve as law protectors for her, and the ones who volunteered are precisely Seok-young and Mu-jeom. In particular, Mu-jeom, now at Grand Perfection Integration stage and having gained enlightenment after getting beaten by the lightning god not long ago, is to some extent a step beyond the integration stage, so he very much wants to witness a star-shattering stage advancement scene and has come to this place. Kurururung. Additionally, Seok-young records the scene on a recording tablet and is transmitting it in real time to the Human Race Grand Cultivator Association and to Baiwa and others, so the Human Race Grand Cultivator Association and Baiwa are all gaining enlightenment through Wal Ryong's advancement ritual. Through the immortal arts of rain, sunlight, heat, cold, wind, and time, in a state of having become dust, one gathers the dust to make a star and advances to the star-shattering stage, that is the essence. Indeed, so that is why the refining void dharma treasure is needed. So that is why advancement to the star-shattering stage has not been easy. A being who has not seen a star-shattering stage advancement even once has no choice but to have a distinct lower probability of success. Mu-jeom, watching Wal Ryong's advancement ritual, seems entranced as he gains enlightenments. But Seok-young watches Wal Ryong's advancement with a calm face. After a little while, Seok-young opens his mouth. Quote, Senior brother. Now, Ryong is gradually grasping the framework. Ah, right. Got it. Let's activate the formation. Mu-jeom and Seok-young head south and north respectively. In the north, Seok-young forms hand seals and draws up the dragon vein of the Chaos Realm region, and Mu-jeom refines that dragon vein. The ground's dragon vein resounds up into the sky and begins to form pitch-black thunderclouds. It's beginning, senior brother. Right, now, the true star-shattering stage heavenly tribulation will begin. Urururung. At last, the pitch-black thunderclouds made by the two integration stage cultivators completely cover the sky and fill the heavens with darkness. Jaoyoyoyong. From the sky, an enormous pillar of light pierces the pitch-black thunderclouds and falls onto Wal Ryong, who is taking on form. The star tribulation begins. Kurururung. The stars positioned in the sky of the vast cold realm bestow punishment upon the heaven-defying one and gradually connect to Wal Ryong. Yet, whether fortunately or not, Wal Ryong is attempting advancement in a region of the chaos realm where little starlight shines, and, in addition, asks Seok-young and Mu-jeom for a formation that dims the starlight, so the intensity of the star tribulation is on the weaker side. That is the star tribulation. Mu-jeom breaks into a cold sweat at the brutish strength of the star tribulation, and that image transmits in full to the Grand Cultivator Association and Baiwa. Among the Grand Cultivator Association, Gall Mike looks at the star tribulation with an expression as if it is nothing special, and Hun Jin chuckles and begins to close his eyes. All the other integration stage Grand Cultivators, including Du Ryuk, have slightly tense expressions. And lastly, Baiwa lets out a faint laugh. Foolish Wal Ryong, you still don't know since you never received that one's wisdom. The star tribulation is, in essence, to take in all the starlight of the astral realm into your body and thereby link the star veins. She looks at her own palm with a sneer. Of course, such a deranged method is by no means easy, but Baiwa can now do it. Because she has the power given to her by the great mountain divine spirit. Uduk. When Baiwa puts strength into her hand, her fingers instantly transform into glass swords. Since it happens so suddenly, she flinches in surprise and quickly hides the fingers with her other hand. Quote. It is still not perfectly under control, but, hoo, I am satisfied. I have accepted the power of a higher race. Now I am not inferior to you. She mutters as she glares at Wal Ryong, the half-blood of the celestial dog race, and Mu Jiam, the half-blood of the heavenly fox race. She, too, has lived well in the Radiant Spirit sect as an integration stage cultivator of equal standing. Yet she has always secretly envied her peers who inherited the true blood of heaven immortals and possess special abilities. If they had been pure demon races, she would not even have felt envy. But half-bloods who can draw on the advantages of the demon race when needed and still have the inherent advantages of the heaven race. They progress in cultivation by leaps and bounds, and compared to those at the same realm, they become stronger without much effort. Bai Hua has always harbored jealousy toward them. But now I have it too. HMPH, so you advanced to the star-shattering stage. How foolish. To advance through such a shortcut only makes you weaker than those of the same realm. Just wait, Wal Ryong. I will definitely surpass you through the orthodox advancement method. She looks at the completed descent formation beside her and smiles. For, very soon, that person will arrive. The realization of her dream is not far away. Goo. Star veins crash down. Heaven and earth tremble. Because it is the Chaos Realm region, especially an area where starlight does not reach well, only 10 star veins descend. Kurururung. And at last, after receiving all 10 star veins, within the cloud of dust, a pure white star appears. It is a silver-white star. On the surface of the star drift sharp gaseous metal clouds, and inside the star, silvery liquid metals like mercury flow, forming a strange ecosystem. Before long, the circulation of that ecosystem begins in earnest, and within the circulating ecosystem, heaven and earth's spiritual energy begin to be produced. Wal Ryong, who has now properly risen into the producer class of the universe, soon begins to compress the star. Uduk, ududududuk, kuguging. What then appears as a star compressed to the size of a palm, and Wal Ryong's transformation form covering the surface of that star. Ryong Seog-young runs to Wal Ryong, and Wal Ryong pats Seog-young's head. You finally reach the star-shattering stage. How does it feel, Ryong? Only now do I truly feel I have set foot on the path of immortal cultivation. Wal Ryong mutters as she looks up at the sky. It feels like she has stepped onto the proper heavenly path. The cultivation she has done until now feels like mere play, and the harshness of the remaining immortal cultivation system pierces her to the bone. Just moving beyond the early star-shattering stage will take hundreds of years. It is something she must accumulate slowly, living through countless years she could never have imagined until now. That is the cultivation of the star-shattering stage. What is more, she cannot even fathom what the sacred vessel stage will be like. From now on, it will be even harsher. But she takes Seog-young's hand and makes a vow. Even so, it's fine. I will overcome everything and without fail, protect it all. Answering Mu Jiam's endless questions about the realizations of the star-shattering stage, Wal Ryong draws Seog-young and Mu Jiam into her attraction force and stomps her foot. Cooing. With a single step of her foot, space itself bends. Her ground-shrinking technique now reached the level of crossing light years, and Wal Ryong instantly moves from the Chaos Realm region to the Stable Realm region. After that, with just a few more uses of the ground-shrinking technique, she reaches the human race. Grand Alliance's territory. Ho, astonishing. So this is the ground-shrinking technique of the star-shattering stage. It seems things like teleportation formations are no longer necessary. Not entirely so, senior brother. For traveling between other middle realms or astral realms, or between different heavenly domains, even I must rely on teleportation formations. Haha, well, ordinary integration cultivators live without even imagining the level of movement you speak of. Mu Jiam chuckles and praises Wal Ryong's realm, and she approaches Bai Hua, who is preparing the descent formation. Senior sister Bai Hua, I heard you are ready to summon our masters. Right, the descent formation is now complete. Originally, we would borrow the power of the Grand Cultivator Association to activate it, but now we have you. A single star-shattering cultivator can wield attraction force greater than the entire Grand Cultivator Association, so you alone can activate the formation. Bai Hua points toward the front of the descent formation, and Wal Ryong nods. Thank you for your hard work all this time. Hard work. Ha. At that phrase, which sounds like praise from a superior to a subordinate, Bai Hua's eyes twitch, but she only keeps smiling sweetly. Yes, thank you for recognizing it, junior sister. Let us quickly activate the descent formation and welcome our masters. Quote. Senior sister by Wal Ryong's eyes twitch. Since earlier, something's been feeling off. Only after reaching the star-shattering stage does she realize it. She even considers interrogating her about the strange sense of alienness she suddenly feels from Bai Hua. Something. A sense of alienness as if not human. But she soon shakes her head. She must have cultivated some special divine power. I must just be overly sensitive after reaching the star-shattering stage. In truth, for 20 years now, they have been unable to read the celestial energy. Because not long ago, the clash of colossal existences severed the celestial energy, and the Heaven tribe entirely lost their greatest source of their intelligence capability, celestial foresight. As a result, in the vast cold realm as well as in the vast majority of middle realms, astral realms, and decaying corpse realms, Heaven tribe cultivators are being pushed back by the Earth tribe. As soon as possible, I have to reach a level where I can read that distorted celestial energy. As soon as possible, I have to reach a level where I can read that distorted celestial energy. Wal Ryong, hoping to reach a level where she can read the celestial energy despite the clash of great beings, begins to activate the descent formation that Bai Hua has devoted 20 years to making. The attraction force of a star-shattering cultivator activates the descent formation, and light bursts forth from the array. It's been a long mission. 20 or 30 years is a short time to cultivators, but to Wal Ryong, who is not even 100 years old, it is a considerably long time. It is enough to account for most of her life so far. I wonder if Master is well. I want to see her again after so long. Wal Ryong, at the thought of seeing her master Baek Jeom again after a long time, naturally feels her mood brighten. Kwa, a dimensional gate opens, and the descent formation unfolds. Is it because she has grown stronger, or is it simply because it's become beautified in memory? Even Baek Jeom, whom she used to just dislike, now feels strangely welcome when she thinks of seeing her again. The descent formation expands, stretching into a long dimensional passage. And at the end of that passage, Wal Ryong sees 3 figures standing. They are Baek Jin, Baek Eun, and Baek Jeom. Both Baek Jin and Baek Eun look at Wal Ryong with visible disbelief. Crazy. Star-shattering stage at that age. Could it be that time flows differently in the vast cold realm? Does one have to be at that child's level to reach true immortality in the future? Wal Ryong, feeling their reactions after such a long time, unconsciously notices her shoulders rising. If it is to this extent, at least, no matter how indifferent she may have been toward her master is still Baek Jeom. If she shows this much growth in such a short time, then even Baek Jeom will give her praise, right? With that hope, Wal Ryong looks at Baek Jeom with shining eyes. And finally, Baek Jeom opens her mouth. Quote. You've reached the passing line. Well done. Ah, an extremely trivial line. Yet, to Wal Ryong, with that single phrase, feels all the years of neglect she has suffered from Baek Jeom somehow compensated. Because this is the first praise she has ever heard from Baek Jeom. You may now move on to the next stage. The 3 esteemed ones including Baek Jeom begin crossing over through the dimensional gate, and Wal Ryong, thinking she will now receive a different kind of treatment from her master than before, waits for Baek Jeom just like that. And then, Wal Ryong suddenly feels as though she hears some kind of whisper from beyond the silver mask that Baek Jeom always wears. What is this? For some reason, the words seem to pass only by her ear, unheard of by Baek Jin, Baek Eun, or anyone else. Spoken so faintly that it seems not even meant for her to hear. And in those words, she feels an inexplicable and powerful foreboding. It is enough now. Start coming. Whom is she speaking to? And why does that tone carry such chill at the end? Is she not even glad to see her disciple after such a long time? As countless thoughts flow, it happens. Flash. A flash bursts. And, within that flash, an arm shoots out. Quote. Huh. For a moment, Wal Ryong feels that sound disappears from this world. An arm covered in glass-colored dragon scales crosses the dimensional passage and strikes at the 3 esteemed ones coming through. With power at least of the sacred vessel stage, that arm flings Baek Jin and Baek Eun far away to somewhere beyond the dimension and then slices Baek Jeom's transformation form clean in half. Inside the halved transformation form of Baek Jeom's true star, that star, shining in silver-white light like Wal Ryong's own, is crushed to pieces at the mere gesture of the arm. Taking in that sight, Wal Ryong feels as though time freezes. Kuring, kururururung. Then, Jaejaong. The arm that suddenly shoots out from the dimensional passage reaches the place where Wal Ryong is, stretching toward her as she stands blankly. Dodge. Seok-young barely manages to grab hold of Wal Ryong's body and leap away, and thanks to that, Wal Ryong escapes from the arm that shoots out of the dimensional gate. Kururung. And starting from that arm, something begins to emerge from the descent formation. It is a gigantic dragonoid dragon human, their whole body shimmering with glass-colored aurora, bearing glass-colored dragon scales. Kugugugu. At the appearance of that dragonoid, at least of the sacred vessel stage, Wal Ryong's mind freezes. Her body moves faster than her mind. Wal Ryong suddenly realizes that she is screaming. Her master Baekjeom has always been stern and showed favoritism only toward Seok-young. But she is still her master. Unknowingly, she has been revering her. I actually liked master. Sound disappears as she feels as if all the colors of the world have disappeared and become black and white, and Wal Ryong holds the Radiance halberd and charges at the dragonoid. But in an instant, clang, clang, quote, exclamation mark, question mark, quote. Countless glass-colored chains begin to bind her. They are heavenly being stage disciples of the Radiant Spirit sect. The character supervision is engraved in each of their eyes, and the chains they summon bind her with a strength so great one cannot believe it is from the heavenly being stage. They have arrived, bow in worship. Ahahahaha, now the vast cold realm shall receive their touch. She recognizes that power, the power of the mountain god who always extends a hand to her. Yes, that is the authority of the mountain god. At last, she realizes the true identity of that dragonoid. Realizing where the hateful dragonoid who killed her master Baekjeom in a single blow comes from, she sheds tears of blood. Sword Mountain, Kwang, and slammed into the ground by the hands of the fanatics who revere the divine spirit of Sword Mountain, Wal Ryong madly spews hatred. I will not forgive you. And so, gazing at the dragonoid rising into the heavens of the vast cold realm without sparing her the slightest attention, she weeps blood and swears. If someday, she stands at the same eye level as the being called the divine spirit of Sword Mountain, she will surely take revenge for this day. Isn't that too much? Interdimensional void. Inside that darkness world, seeing Baekjeom pulling together her shattered body, a glass-colored ray approaches her and asks a question. If I suffered something like that at her age, it would not be strange if I went mad. TSSSS's. While casually restoring Baekjeom's body, the someone who is possessing Baekjeom answers. Quote, I do feel sorry, but it cannot be helped. Our 8 immortals have always grown generation after generation through trials like this. And only at the end do we realize that this world is a playground of the true immortals, and that the life I have lived is nothing but a board game laid down by the 8 immortals of the past. The process of realizing that the world is a play, and casting away emotions, is the regular trial course of the 8 immortals, so it cannot be helped. Quote, Cruel. You all are. On the surface, you look the most cruel. You are the one who killed that girl's master, Mountain Divine Spirit. She isn't dead yet. The glass-colored light, Seo Eun-yun's split soul, speaks to the being possessing Baekjeom. It speaks to the split soul of the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord. That, even if it is cruel, it cannot be helped. We have to become like iron. And as long as true immortals and beings with power exist, the world is no different from a play. In order to deeply instill the ideology of the Radiance 8 immortals, that those who climb the immortal cultivation system must be stopped, we always have to experience the death of someone precious in childhood. Quote, To Ryong, I always end up feeling sorry. There is no need to feel sorry. From here on, it will only grow more cruel, but what you intend to do for that child will be salvation for her. The Sword Spear Heavenly Lord looks at Seo Eun-yun and speaks. Do not hesitate and move forward. Move forward, and save another me of the future, just as you saved the me of now. Teach them that life is not a play. Quote, Understood. Hearing those words, Seo Eun-yun's split soul flies off somewhere. For Ryong's peace, and for the future Enders, and the future 8 immortals who must continue to kill their hearts, and also for the coming battle with GWAKM, who was a former Radiance. He mutters while watching the dragonoid in the distant vast cold realm begin inhaling the heaven and earth spiritual energy of the vast cold realm. The earth boundary heavenly domain, shall come great chaos. Thus, within the secret pact between the divine spirit of Sword Mountain and the heavenly lord of Sword Spear. There, the great chaos of the earth-boundary heavenly domain is decided. And, amidst the prologue of that great chaos, the echoes of a star-shattering stage girl who lost her master begins to spread. Chapter 758 Devil Lord 3. Do. A strange heaven and earth spiritual energy fills the surroundings. Instead of the usual power of heaven and earth spiritual energy, something peculiar that evokes twilight G, light and shadow completely fills the area. Due to that peculiar energy, among the cultivators of Heavenly Human Island, the cultivators at the nascent soul stage, the heavenly being stage, and the four-axis stage, who are most affected by heaven and earth spiritual energy, collapse in place and can only gag and gasp. Ururum. A dragonoid whose body is covered in glass-colored dragon scales rises into the sky and inhales the heaven and earth spiritual energy of the vast cold realm, converting it into peculiar twilight true energy. Soon, after devouring a certain amount of power, the dragonoid begins to shine resplendently. And across the entire vast cold realm, the shadows of countless existences, struck by the light spewing out from the dragonkin, transform into the dragonoid's form. In an instant, all living beings of the vast cold realm experience the strange sensation that the dragonoid is burrowing into the depths of their heart essence. Deep within Penglai Palace, inside a bedchamber further within, Hun Jin clears his throat. Outside his window, peculiar glass-colored rays shine on him and are altering Hun Jin's shadow. Hun Jin looks at his altered shadow. That shadow has changed into that of a young man familiar to Hun Jin. I am sorry I cannot meet you directly. Haha, what is there to apologize for? Even if I face Elder's main body, I cannot withstand your rank anyway. That is not so. If I control my rank, I can very well come see you. Do not blame yourself. How could I not know you were busy? Heh. Hun Jin smiles faintly as he looks at the glass-colored rays outside. Are you plotting something that looks wicked on the surface like back during the Wuji religious order days? I am preparing to fight the divinity known widely as the Amateus Buddha. In the course of that preparation, I need this kind of confusion, so I have ended up doing these things. Ahaha, if I had followed along, I would have seen many interesting things. How unfortunate. Is Ham Jin doing well? Were you and Ham Jin acquainted? When Elder was advancing to true immortality, he once briefly came to Penglai Palace. Are you not a bit too uninterested in your subordinates' pasts? Even though you can read history. No. If one goes around reading history just because one can, what about privacy? True, Ham Jin was a bit of a promiscuous fellow. Even though he is younger than me, he didn't discriminate between women, men, elders, and beasts. I will stop here. Well, it does not matter. I have met many who are far worse anyway. Thinking back, someone like Ham Jin is a gentleman. There are those worse than Ham Jin. Yes, someone named Yohi for example. No, to begin with, the immortal beast Glass Peacock is. For a while, Hun Jin and the Shadow chat about various miscellaneous topics. Ha, I see. Is Hong Fan doing well? Again, if you think about it, Hong Fan and I are in a senior-junior brother relationship. Indeed, come to think of it, you were among those who witnessed when Hong Fan first reached the transformation stage. Right. In fact, if Hong Fan had at least transformed into a cute woman or man, I planned to pursue him. The ancestor kept nagging inside me, it was hard and also lonely. But I did not expect him to come out as such a shriveled old man. You planned to pursue Hong Fan? Yes. As you know, Hong Fan and I are not on bad terms. From the start, including ancestor Yi and Wei who switched between male and female, our family is not particularly bound by human, beast, insect, and such categories. You all seem even more outrageous than Ham Jin. The two sometimes speak of serious matters, and sometimes chuckle heartily. Before they know it, what sits in the bedchamber no longer looks like a dying old man in a suspicious shadow. They look like a youth in white and a young boy with black and white hair. However, as time passes, Hun Jin's breathing grows rough. So then, where did we leave off? Unlike the appearance of an old man, Hun Jin speaks to the shadow before him as if a young boy is asking a question. The shadow also laughs heartily and responds to Hun Jin's words. We were giving each other counsel, were we not? Did you not say you worry over which of your sons or daughters you should pass Penglai Palace on to? Ah, that is right. So, Elder, could you not hand me some divine descent great method to pass down to one of my children? It is not something I cannot give. Here, the shadow takes out something like a jade tablet from its hand and places it beside Hun Jin. Good. Then I just need to leave a will that whichever child masters this great method for divine descending elder's power perfectly shall be the next palace lord. Wu Wang. Hun Jin seems to leave some record on the jade tablet through a ritual, and the shadow speaks as it watches. Will you really not rise to the star-shattering stage? Yes. I know well enough that living long is not always good. Above all else, I am a descendant of ancestor Yin Wei. As a human, I want to close my eyes while feeling pride in that bloodline. To reach the star-shattering stage and become a divinity regardless of bloodline or race is something that does not suit me. Do not make such a face. Elder, you should unburden yourself of your troubles. I am about to fight the mountain god who harassed your family. May you win. Is that all? What more do you expect? For a while, the sound of quiet chuckles passes between them. Before fighting the mountain god, I may die, so I plan to leave arrangements so my later generations can live in a slightly better situation. It is the work of putting a bridle on the being of light called the Amateus Buddha. But, in the process, I must toy with the life of one person. Just like the mountain god who toyed with the lives of Hun Wan and Yin Wei. When I grant that person happy times, I too feel joy. But sometimes, I have to cause misfortune with my own hands. At such times, I feel this is not something I should be doing. I really do not know what I should do. Must you truly do it? It is the foundation for defeating the mountain god who toyed with the lives of Yin Wei and Hun Wan, and it is the justification for which I must stake my life. By this, I can make arrangements that are worth my life. So you must truly do it. Then, is that the best method? From what we can think of now, yes. Well, Hun Jin faintly moves his lips. He moves his lips as if to draw in even a little more of the spiritual energy in the room, then speaks in a weakened voice. Then there is no helping it. Do it. When living, and bearing responsibility for others, there are times when one must act even knowing it is not right. I felt that bitterly when I married Hun Wei. You married he and we. Senior brother Myung Hoon even visited me in a dream then to give his congratulations, but elder, you did not even congratulate me. I am sorry. At that time, I may have been in the outer sea and unable to enter a dream. It is a joke. It was a political marriage, so I do not mind. In the first place, by genealogy, Hun Wei is practically my ancestor, so it always felt burdensome. I always thought that marriage was not right. But, at that time, it had to be done to unite Penglai Palace. Even beyond that, among the darker affairs of Penglai Palace, there were numerous things I had to handle myself. To be one who bears responsibility means to permit with one's own hand the dirty and the dark. You say you are toying with one person's life. Seated as the palace lord of Palace Penglai, one decides and toys with the lives of tens, hundreds of millions of humans. Though not on the level of a true immortal, the position of an integration stage grand cultivator is fully sufficient for such a thing. Hun Jin exhales and continues. Gradually, he begins to close his eyes. If it is needed for yourself, and if it is needed for those who follow you, then even plundering and exploiting others is needed. Life, immortal cultivation, is not solely plunder, but plunder is certainly a part of it. Even if you do not plunder, someone else will. Someone else will toy with that person's life. So, if you wish to hold guilt, then hold it. But do not, because of that guilt, let go of the work you are about to do for yourself and for all. But, the shadow's voice trembles. Clearly, the shadow is a transcendent being and has lived countless lives. It is an existence far older than the old man before its eyes. Yet right now, Hun Jin gives off an even more strange dignity. Even so, if the resentment and the screams of the one whose life I try to toy with are too painful to hear, what should I do? Hun Jin hears those words and smiles as he closes his eyes. Even after so much time has passed, you are still truly clear. Clear and pure. Well, it must be because you are that clear that you saved us. Elder, your way is not wrong. So, if you truly cannot shake off that sense of sin, carry everything through, then go to the one whose life you toyed with, reveal the whole truth, and ask for forgiveness. Sincerely, ask for forgiveness. At those words, the shadow smiles bitterly. Would one whose life is toyed with by a true immortal forgive the true immortal? Of course they won't. If everything is forgiven with a single bow, why do wars exist? Why is Elder even fighting that mountain god in the first place? So, do not think of being forgiven and just prostrate yourself. Whatever that one does to Elder, whatever resentment and screams they pour upon you, accept it as is. Only that is the way for a being toyed with by a true immortal to feel, even a little, at ease. Thump, thump, thump. Gradually, the sound of Hun Jin's heartbeat weakens. Even if the path you now take is mistaken, if it is for everyone, proceed firmly, and later, cast away everything, apologize and seek forgiveness. Thank you. Having listened to the shadow's worries, Hun Jin smiles with a peaceful face. And right after, Hun Jin shouts loudly, "Is anyone there?" There is no answer. Everyone in Penglai Palace is bewildered by the glass-colored rays that suddenly illuminate the world and by the change in their own shadows. But amid that chaos, Hun Jin again shouts in a ringing voice that tears his throat. "Is anyone there?" Seeing that, the shadow waves a hand. At the shadow's touch, the rope beside Hun Jin is pulled, and the bell tied to the cord rings. Jingle jingle, is anyone there? At that sound, his attendants and maids enter Hun Jin's room. At that sound, Hun Jin's page and maids come into his room. "Elder Hun Jin, Palace Lord, did you call?" Hun Jin smiles at the attendants and maids who come to him. Lifting the jade plaque the shadow gave with a hand trembling from lack of strength, Hun Jin lets out his last breath. The next Palace Lord shall read what is written inside. It was a good life. Everyone, I am grateful. Thud. With those words, the hand holding the jade plaque falls. And Hun Jin's breath completely stops. Palace Lord, Penglai Palace Lord, Father, Grandfather. Soon, Hun Jin's children belatedly enter the room and surround Hun Jin, and the shadow, after watching the final moments of his old friend, slowly looks upon his soul as it slowly descends into the black shadow. Go well, my friend. Thus, sending off his first human race cultivator friend, Seo Un-yun turns around. Kurururung. The sky of the vast cold realm ripples. And beneath that rippling sky, Wal Ryong grits her teeth and looks around. Release me, she mutters while glaring at the heavenly being stage cultivators binding her with chains. Every one of them bears the character supervision in their eyes. What she feels from them is the same fanaticism she felt when fighting the lightning god in Thunder Resonance Valley. Junior sister Ryong, junior sister, don't do this and come join us. They will send us to an ideal world where all are equal. If you return to them, you can reach an even higher realm. Even if Wal Ryong was in the heavenly being stage and not the star-shattering stage, she is still young by heavenly being standards, so those currently binding her are mostly her senior brothers and senior sisters. But right now, Wal Ryong has not the slightest intention of respecting them. If you do not release me, I will kill you. Ahaha, junior sister, don't be like that. In junior sister's current state of being bound by these chains, you can never break free. If you do not release me. Quaduk. The chattering heavenly being cultivator bursts apart and dies. Their spirit does not fall to the underworld but instead drifts off toward some distant world. That sight looks similar to the cultivators of Thunder Resonance Valley who returned to the lightning god. I said I would kill you. And then, the other heavenly being stage cultivators burst apart in the same way. Quadududuk. Once all the heavenly being disciples of the radiant spirit sect who restrain her are dead, she is able to become free from the chains and rise. Clang. With cold eyes, she stares at the chains that once bound her. Her chest burns hot, but having once been slammed into the ground by those chains, her head is able to remain cool. Fiercely cool, to the point even she is surprised. In the end, breaking the chains with brute force is impossible. Even with my star-shattering strength, once caught by the chains, using attraction force became impossible, so if I had not rewritten the world through the immortal art various omens with only my consciousness, it would have been dangerous. Normally, immortal arts are activated through attraction force. Rain, sunlight, heat, cold, wind, time. All of these are activated only through a cultivator's mind and attraction force, and all higher immortal arts likewise activate in a similar way. There are some claims that immortal arts can be activated purely by the heart alone without attraction force, but as far as she knows, none have been proven. However, since she has always relied less on attraction force than others, mixing consciousness in, and since she reached the verge of the paper flower when fighting the lightning god, she could borrow some of its power. With the paper flower's strength and the power of consciousness together, she was able to use immortal arts. They called it Heart Dao blooming. I am still far off, but it's fortunate I can borrow at least some power. And it is also fortunate that immortal arts can be activated by mixing Heart Dao blooming and the strength of the consciousness. In many ways, her luck is good. Clatter. Wal Ryong presses her foot against the chains and contemplates their properties. Since childhood, she has strangely been able to discern the substance and abilities of Dharma tools and Dharma treasures of the metal attribute. But, for some reason, she cannot read the composition or the abilities of these chains at all. It is as though, this is not a material that exists in this world. It seems like a metal from a completely different otherworld. It is when Wal Ryong galras at those metals. Ryong are you all right? Bai Hua approaches Wal Ryong with a worried face. My goodness, what is going on? Why did those monsters come out of my formation? Do you have any clue? More than that, those heavenly being stage disciples just now, didn't it look like their souls flew off somewhere when they died? Chiak, and Wal Ryong aims the radiance halberd at Bai Hua as she approaches her. Senior Sister Bai Hua, Wal Ryong's voice is nothing but ice cold. It is Senior Sister Bai Hua who set up the descent formation until now. Wal Ryong, don't tell me, you are suspecting me. Get a hold of yourself. Our Radiant Spirit sect is not divided merely by realm. No matter that you are now at the star-shattering stage, I am still your senior sister. Mind your manners. And that energy Senior Sister Bai Hua is hiding. That energy and the energy filling heaven and earth right now are the same. It is also the same as the energy coming from that dragonoid. What? You really? Lastly, Wal Ryong's eyes shine an icy blue. When I suffered at the hands of the heavenly being lower stage disciples, why did Senior Sister Bai Hua not stop them? Why did you not help me? That was because it was too sudden. Why did you not help me, and instead go to Seogyung and subdue him? Suat, her gaze erodes the surrounding space. For a moment, the heaven and earth spiritual energy Wal Ryong generates pushes out the twilight true energy, overturning the surrounding scenery that seems peaceful. The illusion formation made by Bai Hua breaks apart, revealing Seogyung, who is restrained by Bai Hua's binding art with his body nailed through with a multitude of stakes. Seogyung has pure white stakes driven all over his body and is tied with a pure white rope, tethered to the ground. Seeing that, Wal Ryong's eyes shine even colder. And at that sight, Bai Hua gives a faint, helpless smile. Amazing. Illusions unfolded through twilight true energy are not easily seen through unless one is familiar with twilight true energy, and you saw through it this quickly. The star-shattering stage is indeed the star-shattering stage. Seeing Bai Hua, who now even loses the appearance of wanting to make excuses, Mu Jiam shouts out loud, Bai Hua, what on earth are you doing? Are you betraying the great radiance spirit sect? Betrayal. I am only trying to lead the Radiant Spirit sect to a new beginning. What nonsense are you? To you both, it must be nonsense. You are the direct blood descendants of heaven immortals. A human like me, with no bloodline at all, who reached the grand perfection integration stage on nothing but my own talent. Do you even know how hard I had to struggle to follow after you? Boo-doo-doo-dook. Bai Hua grits her teeth. I studied formulas every single day as if my life depended on it. Though breakthrough before understanding is our sect's doctrine, to catch up with you I even learned understanding before breakthrough as well. But even so, I could not catch up to those of you born with bloodlines. Senior brother Mu Jiam already reached the step beyond the integration stage, and Wal Ryong became a star-shattering esteemed one before even turning 100, but I alone, even after living 500 years, am still only at the grand perfection integration stage. Other integration stage cultivators would snort as if it's absurd if they heard it, but Bai Hua grits her teeth as if she is truly aggrieved. But now I have obtained a way for even an existence like me to head toward a higher realm. Through that being's grace. If you accept that being's grace, you can grow even more. This is a blessing. A blessing. No, not only you. She points at Seogyung. Inside Seogyung's body, the pure white stakes she stabbed in are slowly sinking deeper. Everyone of the Radiant Spirit sect can receive that being's blessing and grace. If you receive that being's baptism, everyone can rise together to the highest realm by effort alone, without being bound by things like innate talent. I have become that being's envoy, and from now on I will arrive at the Radiance Spirit Sect and deliver that being's teaching to all seniors and juniors of the Radiance Spirit Sect. In Bai Hua's eyes, the pure white character of supervision is embedded. Join hands with me, senior brother Mu Jiam, junior sister Wal Ryong. Before, I have been jealous of you, but now I no longer am. I only want you to come along with me. For all of us, to gain salvation. Through that being. Junior sister. Wal Ryong stays silent, and Mu Jiam lets out a silent exclamation. After a while, Wal Ryong opens her mouth. I will give you one last chance, senior sister. Stop spouting nonsense, throw away the power given by the mountain divine spirit, and help me. If you do, I will forgive you. Boo-doo-doo-dook. At those words, veins bulge on Bai Hua's face. Am your senior sister, Wal Ryong. I see that clearly. This bitch. I've never liked that about you since long ago. Because your future is bright, because your talent is overwhelming, you always smile on the surface, but never care for those inferior to you, and since your master favors only Seogyung, you only try to take Seogyung as if he is some sort of collection piece. That attitude of yours, I have always found it disgusting since long ago. I am giving you a chance because you are my senior sister. It's noisy, so decide before I count to 3. 1, 2, fine, I understand, I surrender. I surrender, and I will do as you saw. 3, Kwang. At the count of 3, Wal Ryong mercilessly thrusts the halberd into Bai Hua's face. Tukwang. With just a single thrust, Bai Hua's upper body and her integrated Dao domain, along with the western part of Heavenly Human Island, directly collapse. Wal Ryong, who killed Bai Hua in a single blow, frowns. Warurururuk. It is because glass-colored flames surge, and Bai Hua's naked body instantly regenerates. I tore apart even the integrated Dao domain. In one strike, yet she survived unscathed. An anomaly that surpasses the ordinary domain of the integration stage. I surrendered, so why attack? You just approached acting worried while hiding the fact you are driving stakes into Seogyung within. Illusion. How could I believe your words? It's obvious it is a lie, so there is no reason to believe them. I truly hate you, Wal Ryong. Clang. In that instant, Bai Hua's fingers transform like swords. The breath she exhales turns into glass-colored flames, and above her head sprouts coral-like glass horns. I have evolved into the higher race, the sword glass race. Kugugugugu. Wal Ryong and Mu Jiam frown and step back at the energy bursting out from Bai Hua. She surpassed the integration stage. This isn't even the quasi-star shattering stage. This energy is. I will show you the power bestowed by God. Esteemed one. Thus, Bai Hua, sponsored by the god of Sword Mountain, and Wal Ryong, sponsored by the fate of light, begin to clash on the island of heavenly humans. Chapter 759 Devil Lord 4. Pying. The one who makes the preemptive strike is Bai Hua. Conventionally, a preemptive strike is the move of a disadvantaged opponent. It is not some implicit unwritten rule or a formal rule. It is a method to survive. If the weak are not allowed to take the initiative against the strong, then the weak have no chance at all. Even though Bai Hua obtained such power, she knows her place well. Setting aside things like innate talent or constitution, Wal Ryong's comprehension utterly tramples someone like me. Wal Ryong's innate divine powers, combat ability, senses, and instincts, build upon that very comprehension. In every aspect, she falls behind Wal Ryong. Even if a god permitted her strength at the star-shattering stage, Wal Ryong is not an opponent she can defeat. Do not get careless. Send the strongest blow as the very first attack. Bai Hua pours all the power she can muster into the first attack, aiming at Wal Ryong's dantian. Majestic flying scenery are 17 folds of petals. It is the strongest move she can create as someone who has pursued blessing, purification, and healing. Chuat. 17 petals, condensed with the power of healing and purification, touch Wal Ryong's dantian. At the same time, the power of healing and purification directly converts the material flesh into pure and clear qi and begins to vaporize Wal Ryong's body. Querararik. In an instant Wal Ryong's transformation form vaporizes, and her true body inside is revealed. Kurururung. A silver-white star rises above heavenly human island, and the attraction force emanating from the star distorts the surrounding space. However, Bai Hua's attack still does not end. Her blessing aims to vaporize Wal Ryong's main star as well. But immediately after, she notices that something is wrong. Why does the star-shattering stage main star not keep growing, but instead shrink? And as soon as she feels the strangeness, she quickly stamps her foot and flees from Heavenly Human Island. That is the one moment that saves Bai Hua's lifeline. Skak. In the spot Bai Hua leaves from, thousands of silver weapons are driven in. And Wal Ryong's main star gradually compresses and begins to change into a humanoid shape. Combat technique form. Remembering the star-shattering stage transformation that her masters occasionally showed her, Bai Hua bites her lips. Do. The star compresses and takes on a human form. It is different from a simple transformation form. That is, literally, a form that turns all the star's capabilities toward combat. It means Wal Ryong is using her power in earnest. As a member of the Sword Glass race, Bai Hua raises her power to the extreme and assumes a state of alert. Kururung. From far away, wrapping herself in a faint glass-colored aurora, Wal Ryong looks expressionlessly at Bai Hua, who begins taking out glass soldiers. Junior sister, I will go with you too. Let us apprehend junior sister Bai Hua together. Standing at Wal Ryong's side, Mu Jiam begins to faintly reveal his integrated Dao domain. But Wal Ryong casts a brief glance at Mu Jiam and speaks coldly. Senior brother Mu Jiam, please look after Seogyung. Those stakes currently seeping into Seogyung look dangerous. I would like you to go and check it. What? Junior sister, but, senior brother. Senior sister Bai Hua is at the esteemed one level right now. Frankly, at this point senior brother will only get in the way. At Wal Ryong's cold words, Mu Jiam lets out a silent sigh. In the end, Mu Jiam speaks with a darkened face. Quote. If so, junior sister Wal, I will leave Bai Hua to you. Yes. Finishing her words, Wal Ryong charges straight at Bai Hua through the flying escape technique. Kuguging. And the glass soldiers guarding Bai Hua's surroundings begin to block her. Wal Ryong recalls Bai Hua's combat style. Her only methods of real attack are mere divine powers that maximize the power of healing and blessing to vaporize the opponent. Aside from that, she uses puppet soldiers, spirit beasts, contract beasts, or pet beasts as summons, strengthening or healing them while she fights the enemy from the rear. She is probably going to keep summoning whatever she can bring out and keep supporting from the back. As Wal Ryong expects, Bai Hua unceasingly takes out one thing after another. Come forth, 7 treasures true soul scrolls. 7 scrolls she pulls from her bosom spread out in the void, summoning the souls of strange otherworldly beasts. Come forth, Reaper Tower. Cooing. 4 white glass towers are summoned around Bai Hua, amplifying and converting the glass flames she exhales, supplying them to her summoned beasts. Build a fortress to guard me. White origin bees. A swarm of white bees appear from her peach garden painting and begin constructing a fortress of pure white wax around her. That white wax fortress instantly encircles Bai Hua and begins turning the area around her into an impregnable sky fortress. At the same time, Bai Hua's divine blessing powers settle throughout the sky fortress, reinforcing it. At last, perhaps thinking she is prepared enough to face Wal Ryong, Bai Hua begins condensing power. Inside, she is preparing a great divine power. It is surely a powerful divine power that draws out all the power of her integrated Dao domain to unfold it. And it is not just any great divine power. Strengthened to the level of an esteemed one, even Wal Ryong will not come out unscathed if hit directly. To put it badly, she is a cowardly type, and to put it well, she is pathologically cautious. Even after obtaining star-shattering stage strength, she does not get swept away by it, but instead attacks me in the way she does best. Bai Hua's ability is exceptional. From the start, when facing the lightning god, if she had not exploded and died from a single strike and had remained to simply provide rear support, Wal Ryong could have handled the lightning god alone without Gyo-Yom's aid. Against senior sister Bai Hua, direct combat does not work. The best way to deal with her is a siege battle. I need to prepare siege techniques. Kugwagwang. Wal Ryong occasionally summons spears or halberds and throws them at the fortress, but even with her strength at the star-shattering stage, the fortress only cracks slightly and nothing more. TSTSTSTSTs. Wal Ryong draws up the heaven immortal bloodline within her body. From the star-shattering stage and beyond, one is no longer bound by race, but the power of a bloodline. At the immortal level is itself history and chi, so even after reaching the star-shattering stage, it often remains within the main stars of esteemed ones in the form of dragon veins. The bloodline of Radiance Hall's Law Protector Immortal, Moonlight Immortal Wal Woon, reveals itself. Wal Ryong's clan ancestor was the result of the progenitor of the heavenly dog race, Wal Woon, interbreeding with the human race. Because it is such a distant ancestral matter, by Wal Ryong's generation, the Wal clan is just a human race family with faint remnants of Wal Woon's power. What can be done with the heavenly immortal bloodline is specializing in learning moonlight divine powers, and when descendants are born, heavenly spiritual roots often appear. And occasionally they can sprout a dog's tail and ears just for fun, imitating the Earth tribe. This is the authority of the heaven immortal bloodline that the Wal clan can wield. But she once faced her family's progenitor Wal Woon directly, received blessing and wisdom from Wal Woon, and through atavism recovered part of that bloodline. Silver moonlight radiates from her, and yin power fills the surroundings. The moonlight is not simply sacred, but a symbol of yin. Through that symbol, Wal Ryong fills the entire human race territory with yin energy and begins cutting down the power of blessing surrounding Bai Wa's fortress. Her fate whispers to her without rest, teaching her how to win this war. I am war. She instantly thinks of a way to break that fortress of glass soldiers and summoned beasts, and grips the radiant spear hard enough to crush it. Immediately after, she starts throwing spears. Tune. The radiant spear created by the radiant spirit sword formula slams straight into the wall of Bai Wa's fortress. However, it only rams in and does not pierce through, and the glass soldiers, perhaps knowing this, do not panic and begin intercepting with Wal Ryong as their main target. Tukwang. Bai Wa's bombardment, shrouded in glass true fire, grazes Wal Ryong's back and then buries itself into one patch of ground in the human race Sky Island area, and then explodes with an immense mushroom cloud. It is not originally that powerful, but each and every divine power is growing stronger. Thinking it a nuisance, Wal Ryong keeps circling Bai Wa's fortress and attempting spear throws. But at some moment, Tituk, thinking the sound of the world cuts off, Wal Ryong shudders. She feels an instinctive danger. She completed the great divine power. Bai Wa has completed the powerful move she has been preparing inside. Korarara. Snow-white petals begin to surge above Bai Wa's fortress. Soon the wave of petals descends and crashes over Wal Ryong. Kwang. Quote. Exclamation mark quote. The apex of blessing that vaporizes the opponent upon mere touch. Recalling the time she faced the star tribulation, Wal Ryong emits repulsive force toward that waterfall of petals. However, as petals scatter through the world, the surroundings gradually begin to transform into the strange twilight true energy that disadvantages Wal Ryong. If I keep enduring like this, I will ultimately lose. She must escape the waterfall of petals. Yet because of the very waterfall of petals, the surroundings fill with twilight true energy. That, too, twilight true energies heavily mixed with Bai Wa's will. In places where these strange true energies are present, the combat strength of Bai Wa's summoned beasts will probably leap by 100-fold. Escaping the waterfall is no different from falling straight into Bai Wa's grasp. I have to pierce through head-on. Wal Ryong takes up her spear. She normally uses the halberd, but for this battle the spear suits better. She grips the spear and recalls the finest spearman she knows. Lightning God. The red god of lightning who fought her is truly the strongest spearman. Let's recall that being's thrust. The thrust of lightning, where the body and spear are one. Wal Ryong assumes the same stance as the lightning god. In that moment, a paper flower shimmers before her eyes. Here I go. Wal Ryong style. Imitation. 80 quadrillion lightning-tipped spear. For an instant, Wal Ryong becomes light. Though for a very brief instant, she feels as though she becomes iron itself. And in that fleeting moment, Zhejiang, she thrusts, piercing straight through the waterfall of petals, and arrives atop Bai Wa's fortress. Tremble. Still, in terms of completeness of the thrust, I fall behind the lightning god. Wal Ryong calmly suppresses the trembling combat technique form caused by the strain and looks around. Bai Wa's summoned beasts charge. The otherworldly beasts who emerged from the scrolls, and the strange beings with faces made of candle flames swarm over Wal Ryong. Tukwang. Through the attraction force of the star-shattering stage and her spear techniques, she tears them apart, but receiving Bai Wa's blessing and healing, they revive instantly and cling to her again. Glass soldiers and swarms of white bees latch onto her. Each one is merely on the level of being a nuisance, but with Bai Wa's support, they do not die, and they keep coming at her like berserkers without end, sometimes even putting her in a difficult spot. But Wal Ryong calmly deflects the glass soldiers, rips through the bee swarms, and moves toward somewhere. And at last, the place Wal Ryong arrives is the wall of the fortress where earlier she had thrown her spear, where her radiant spear is embedded. I have thrown enough spears. And by attaching to the fortress and listening to the sounds it makes, I have roughly grasped its structure and composition. Preparation is complete, and sufficient information is in her hand. Though Bai Hua is casting blessings on the summoned beasts and once again completing a great divine power, Wal Ryong is not impatient. For victory is already in her hands. It is my win. Tune. Wal Ryong kicks the spear embedded before her eyes. The spear, formed through the radiant spirit sword formula and mixed with the liquid metal of Wal Ryong's main star, begins to hum as it remains lodged in Bai Hua's fortress. Wung, wung, wung. That hum begins to resonate with the other spears embedded elsewhere. That resonance gradually grows, and little by little it begins to cover the entire fortress. Like tuning forks resonating with each other, emitting strange buzzing tones, those spears cause the inside of the fortress to ring. You must have thought hiding inside makes you safe. Wrong. Analyzing the nature of the twilight true energy filling the fortress, Wal Ryong vibrates the spears according to its frequencies. The twilight true energy vibrates in resonance with the hum of her spears, spreading immense tremors throughout the interior of the fortress. Have tasted a concentrated barrage of sonic attacks inside that cramped place. Wing. The structure of the fortress, designed to amplify the power of twilight true energy, and the Reaper towers attached to the fortress that magnify the twilight true energy, amplify even that resonance, vibrating madly until, at some moment, Wal Ryong breathes her own sharp energy into the resonance. With sharp energy infused into the wave that is amplified to the peak, the entire fortress suddenly begins to split as though struck by countless slashes. Zhejiang. Fortress capture, complete. Within the fortress that collapses in an instant, Bai Hua finally appears, having once again completed her divine power. Suaa. This time, Bai Hua's petals take the shape of a dragon whose face is of candle flame. 10 billion petals dragon flower. The cluster of petals in the form of a dragon fly towards Wal Ryong, and Wal Ryong once more recalls the knowledge she obtained from the lightning god. She steadies her breath, sets up a foundation that will not cause her to return to thee, concentrates the entirety of her will, and utters a single phrase. Red Pearl cycling Heavenly King Jaeon Myong Hoon. Flash. An attack through the name of a governing immortal. At those words, Bai Hua fails to endure the true name of a true immortal, and the divine ability she is about to reveal collapses entirely as she lets out a scream. Kyog. Seizing that instant, Wal Ryong's thrust once again descends from the sky toward Bai Hua. Jaejeuk. Starting from the wax platform upon which Bai Hua stands, her integrated Dao domain tears apart, and Bai Hua's body begins to scatter. It's over, senior sister. Wal Ryong mutters as she looks down at Bai Hua's crumbling flesh. Memories with Bai Hua momentarily brush past her, but strangely, Wal Ryong feels no stir. Emotion itself seems to be becoming attraction force. It is a strange feeling. At the same time, the closeness she felt from the paper flower she just received seems to recede endlessly again. Quarik, Quarararik. Bai Hua's body regenerates. Amid the regeneration, she laughs, exuding an even more powerful momentum. Warurururuk. Now, having become a very spurt of glass true fire, Bai Hua cackles. Kukik. How am I to repay this grace that led me into sword glass reincarnation? An even stronger spiritual energy and attraction force. So is it a structure where when one receives a great shock, the power of God condensed inside is released, leading one to obtain it? Wal Ryong grasps that structure at once. It is a formidable power. However, Wal Ryong looks back and mutters coldly. Rather than blindly pursuing upward, it would have been better if you had reflected upon yourself and practiced repentant enlightenment. Ha ha ha, what are you spouting now? I now have the power of Go-Hu, Hyok. Ku-gu-gu-gu-gu. However, from Bai Hua's body, which has strengthened in an instant, bizarre lightning begins to spew out. What is this? Heavenly King. Jaeon asterisk and Myong asterisk 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 Hoon asterisk and percent asterisk. Did you not just hear the true name of a god? That is not a power one can digest at once with strength accumulated without repentant enlightenment. What? And no. Power is overflowing. Stop. No. You may have thought that you yourself worked hard, and we are those who relied on talent without effort, bearing inferiority, but in truth, the one who neither practiced repentant enlightenment nor worked hard was you alone. Disappear. Ku-gu-gu-gu-gu. As lightning and glass true fire boil simultaneously across her whole body more and more, Bai Hua soon cannot contain that power and shines brightly. And what follows is an explosion. Kwang. An enormous blast sweeps the surroundings and even wipes out all of Bai Hua's summoned beasts. In that explosion, Wal Ryong watches the end of Bai Hua, who has turned to dust, and feels a complicated mood at her own lack of any emotion. Enough. Now is not the time to bother with that. What Wal Ryong needs to care about right now lies even higher above. Wal Ryong watches with gleaming eyes as the Dragonoid, after transforming the heaven and earth spiritual energy of the vast cold realm into twilight true energy and piercing a great hole in its sky, passes through to depart for the earth boundary heavenly domain. Wait for me, God of Sword Mountain. I will reach you without fail. Wal Ryong vows that she will with her own hands tear apart and kill that apostle of the evil god who will bring great chaos to this earth boundary heavenly domain, and begins returning to Seogyeong on Heavenly Human Island, Kuring, Kurururung, within the battlefield of myth where countless divine spirits burst apart and die. There, countless ropes of light bind a single existence. And to that bound being, the seals of 8 existences fly in like arrows and embed themselves. Jejong, Jjeoeoeoeoeng. Each seal carries a certain meaning, and those meanings link together to form a name. That name is Devil, in the name of the radiant supreme deity, in praise of your great feats as the divine spirit of Sword Mountain and the immortal beast King Seo Eun-yun, you are hereby enfeoffed as the envoy of Radiance Hall, conferred the name Devil Lord. The attribute and status carried by that name are bestowed upon the faceless divine spirit bound in ropes. As the attribute of Devil attaches in full, the divine spirit of Sword Mountain begins to have their strength helplessly suppressed by the power of radiance unleashed by the 8 divine spirits of light. At last, even the divine spirit of Sword Mountain, who seemed to boast of endless strength, kneels down before the power of the Radiance 8 immortals. All the comrades of this devil have fled. Somewhat surprising that this one would be captured so easily. The merit lies largely with the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord. Even though we have not yet granted them the full immortal title of Sword Mountain Devil Lord, and only attached the designation of Devil, to think they would be captured so easily. Could it be that they allowed themselves to be captured on purpose? Yet, at that strangely helpless sight, the Radiance 8 immortals only feel worry. There must be some scheme. Such a thought is all that comes to them. If concern remains, let us first bring them into the inner grounds of Radiance Hall, grant the complete immortal title, and perform the 10 heavens seal. Once the heavenly domain sealing is finished thereafter, even the Sword Mountain Devil Lord will be sealed entirely. At the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord's proposal, the Rain Dew Heavenly Lord and the Great Forest Heavenly Lord hesitate. As the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord says, if we take them to the inner hall, grant the immortal title in full, perform the 10 heavens seal, and even place the heavenly domain seal, there will be no problem. However, the Great Forest Heavenly Lord senses a subtle ominousness that even celestial energy cannot reveal, and gazes at the Sword Mountain Devil Lord caught by them. With what intention do you so obediently allow yourself to be caught, you wretched devil? Dimensional confinement complete. 10 heavens sealing complete. Radiance rope binding complete. Heavenly domain imprisonment, 5 parts complete. How ready is the conferment of the immortal title? We can start right now. Where the communication of countless beings come and go, the brightest place in the Sumeru 3 Heavens Great Thousand World. Within the Radiance Hall, farther inside, in a cavern there, a gigantic existence is bound by sealing arts and immortal treasures numbering in the thousands and hundreds of millions. That existence, whose whole body is impaled with innumerable spears of light, swords, and other weapons, is what the immortals of light call the Devil God of Sword Mountain, or a wicked mountain divine spirit. While we do this, the underworld is not going to run rampant again, will they? Impossible. Even the underworld is currently accumulating strength to prepare against the power of the great mountain supreme deity. They cannot intervene. The wills of countless great existences go back and forth. Having succeeded in shackling the wicked mountain divine spirit, Seo Eun-yun, the Radiance 8 immortals stand at the center and look down on him. Your merit is great, Sword Spear. I only did what was natural. No, if you had not taken the lead, accepted sacrifice, and driven the sealing ritual into their immortal body, we would not have been able to capture them. Thanks for thinking kindly of me, Pearl Jade. The Pearl Jade Heavenly Lord keeps praising the merit of the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord, and the other 8 immortals look indifferently at that Pearl Jade, then turn their gaze back to the mountain divine spirit below. We acknowledge that Sword Spear's merit is great. Above all, from now we will confer the immortal title that suppresses their rank, so the merit will only grow further. The Great Forest Heavenly Lord speaks calmly and forms hand seals, and the 8 immortals, including the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord, begin to form a ring around the divine spirit of Sword Mountain. Then from now, we shall infect the mountain divine spirit, the immortal beast King Seo Un-yun, who has been the great adversary of our Radiance Hall, as our Radiance Hall's envoy of the final age of Dharma and faithful subordinate, as a lord who bows to us. Wang, the sword spear heavenly lord begins to pour out their power. And toward the power poured out by the sword spear heavenly lord, the faces of other powers begin to gather. Before long, the torch candle heavenly lord and the great sun heavenly lord each raise their left and right hands. Between their palms, something like a small universe rises. Within that universe, instead of stars, names whirl and surge, forming galaxies and Milky Ways. The seed of naming, the origin of the immortal Tao, also called the origin essence of names. As the torch candle heavenly lord and the great sun heavenly lord draw power from the origin of names, the authorities clustered around the sword spear heavenly lord's power begin to take shape one by one. They are certain characters. Sword, J. Mountain, Li. Lord, Jun. As the three characters are born within the light, they become sharp stakes by the will of the 8 immortals. Go. At the same time, those 3 stakes fall toward the divine spirit of Sword Mountain. Pook, pook, pookwick. At last, the stakes driven into the divine spirit's body melt straight into them and bind their spirit and flesh. Now, in addition to the character of devil they have previously driven into them, the characters Sword, Mountain, and Lord are added, and thus they become the Sword Mountain Devil Lord Yu. Kugugugik. An immortal lord level immortal title that is affixed to a governing immortal level existence forcibly suppresses their rank and authority, and combined with the seals the 8 immortals have so far attached to the Sword Mountain Devil Lord, drops their grade and authority down to the level of a vestige liberation immortal. Moreover, those seals are gradually becoming stronger as they assimilate with them over time. It is done. As long as 10,000 years pass like this, all seals and the immortal title will assimilate into them, and that one will lose even their immortal rank, becoming an imbecile whose every memory and authority are sealed. If only the 10,000-year seal is completed. If it comes to pass, their very personality will change, so even if they accumulate strength again, they absolutely cannot rise above immortal lord level, bound by the immortal title of devil lord we have attached. Gradually, even their rationality will thin out by the seal, and they will become a beast. When that time comes, we will be able to educate them to have us as masters. Now the Sword Mountain Devil Lord is our slave. What we must be wary of now are the other comrades of the Sword Mountain Devil Lord. They and the Sword Mountain Devil Lord will surely plot yet another scheme. There is no way they will leave the Sword Mountain Devil Lord alone for 10,000 years without incident. At the words of the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord, all the Heavenly Lords look at her. Sword Spear, that is not a matter for you to concern yourself with. According to the decision of Great Forest and Rain Dew, a perfect grand stratagem to capture them is prepared, so you must devote yourself to fostering the next Sword Spear. Is it a grand stratagem that only Great Forest and Rain Dew must know? That is so. I understand. I accept. Then I will take my leave. As the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord finishes speaking, she disappears somewhere, and the other 8 immortals mutter as they look at the place she stood. They sensed something strange. It seems they realize they are under suspicion. If truly they have done nothing worthy of suspicion, they will obediently accept it and retrain themselves, but if not, then they will surely plot something. They may not reveal it openly, but Sword Spear knows they are in a situation where they are suspected, so they may indeed scheme something. At such a time, we must expand surveillance thoroughly, for their sake and for ours. At the Rain Dew Heavenly Lord's words, all the other 8 immortals nod. After Rain Dew Heavenly Lord finishes speaking, the Great Forest Heavenly Lord looks down below. That aside, can we truly not fathom the scheme of that Sword Mountain Devil Lord? It is impossible, but it does not matter what scheme they are plotting. So long as they are sealed inside Radiance Hall's inner sanctum, escape by their own power is absolutely impossible. The Flower Plant Heavenly Lord, who is in charge of the sealing within the Radiance Hall, shakes their head. Innumerable envoys of the final age of Dharma are on constant standby to suppress the Sword Mountain Devil Lord should they attempt to escape, and until the 10,000-year seal is complete, all 32 envoys of the final age of Dharma are forbidden from leaving. Moreover, Sword Spear, who might possibly aid in the escape of the Sword Mountain Devil Lord, has been sent outside Radiance Hall for the time being. Our 7 immortals will guard this place for 10,000 years while watching over the Sword Mountain Devil Lord's compatriot, so there is no problem. Furthermore, once the exclusive heavenly domain for sealing them is completed, and the heavenly domain sealing is finished, it will be the end. The stern gaze of the Rain Dew Heavenly Lord looks toward the center of Radiance Hall. Even the power of the swallowing heaven's supreme deity, which in theory can move anywhere inside Mount Sumeru. Even the power and revisions of the heavenly venerable of the underworld, the wheel, and even the power of the heavenly venerable of time who governs space-time and dimensions, none of them can ever take them away. Beneath the glory of the Radiant's supreme deity, they will never escape. There, beneath the Radiance seat's power that directly beams down and strengthens the seal in the Radiance hall, they all raise their hands in prayer while gazing upward at the Radiance seat. Glory to the Radiance supreme deity. Thus, shouting the slogan of the Radiance 8 Immortals, they continue to strengthen the seal of the Sword Mountain Devil Lord and begin to surround them with countless prophecies. They never think to let down their guard, even though they have captured them once. Perhaps after 10,000 years, they might, but not yet. For the Sword Mountain Devil Lord has not yet sunk into complete sealing. Especially the Pearl Jade Heavenly Lord, who is both the quartermaster and strategist, together with the Flower Plant Heavenly Lord, searches for methods to strengthen the seal, and unceasingly keeps their gaze fixed upon the bound Sword Mountain Devil Lord. Even though the Radiance 8 Immortals have found a way to capture and enslave the Sword Mountain Devil Lord and are executing that plan, the being sits in a lotus position with their main body without the slightest movement. Somehow, that sight looks as if they are asleep. It must be because they have leisure that they can sleep. We must not let our guard down for even a moment. Whether it is the bizarre authority unique to an Ender, or whatever else, we must bind them so they cannot flee into another timeline or parallel dimension, into a dream world or a painting, or into a story. Looking at that figure, the Pearl Jade Heavenly Lord makes such a resolve. It seems like an absurd imagination, but all the Enders whose records the Radiance 8 Immortals have read are all bizarre beings for whom such things are possible. Yet somehow, the figure of the Sword Mountain Devil Lord sitting in a lotus position and sleeping. It keeps drawing the Pearl Jade Heavenly Lord's gaze. What dream does that one dream, to look so peaceful? The Pearl Jade Heavenly Lord glares at the Sword Mountain Devil Lord, who is suspected of having connections with the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord, and prays inwardly that the dream that being dreams becomes the most wretched nightmare possible. Earth Boundary Heavenly Domain. Since Wal Ryong has become a star-shattering esteemed one, 1,500 years have already passed. Kuring, Kururururung. On the outskirts of the Earth Boundary Heavenly Domain, while receiving the baptism of countless heavenly tribulations, the one who stabilizes their final stage. Wal Ryong half opens her eyes. Who, before she knows it, by spending a mere 1,500 years, she has reached the grand perfection star-shattering stage. And then, Wal Ryong looks at her same-sect fellow disciple who, right before her eyes, has reached the grand perfection integration stage. Ryong ah, you finally reached it. Kugugugugu. She compresses the true bodies of the grand perfection star-shattering stage and transforms. Soon, he and Wal Ryong face each other. Yeah, Seogyung, you are also grand perfection now. Ah ha ha, unlike you, my aptitude isn't that outstanding. It took me as long as 1,500 years for me to barely reach grand perfection. Don't worry too much. In fact, that pace is considered normal among ordinary beings. But, Seogyung, looking a bit dejected, gazes somewhere at one side of that far-off galaxy. From there, someone flies over. Wal Ryong, Seogyung. It is Pal Jin, who entered the sect alongside Wal Ryong and Seogyung. Pal Jin's refining Void Dharma treasure gave enormous help for the star-shattering stage advancement. So he has already advanced to become an esteemed one like Wal Ryong. Although Pal Jin is only at the early star-shattering stage rather than grand perfection. Just in time, you two also finished your advancement. Unfortunately, senior brother Mu Jiam once again failed to advance from the quasi-star-shattering stage and resurrected, and is now reaccumulating his cultivation again starting from the early integration stage. Well, stopping a star tribulation isn't easy. Clicking her tongue, Wal Ryong looks toward the star system Mu Jiam went to. Pal Jin also speaks with a regretful expression. That aside, the elders are calling us now. Let's go. Alright. With those words, Wal Ryong starts moving through outer space together with Seogyung. Before long they arrive at a large nebula. And above that nebula, countless beings have gathered and are holding council. As Wal Ryong and her party appear in the hall, those in conference look toward them. Pal Jin steps forward before them and speaks. Radiant Spirit Sect disciple Pal Jin brings the Radiant Spirit Sect disciple Wal Ryong as requested. They are the entering Nirvana stage and Sacred Vessel stage beings of the Earth Boundary Heavenly Domain, the Radiant Spirit Sect Master Baek Young, and the Radiant Spirit Sect's elders at the Sacred Vessel stage and above. You have come at just the right time. I apologize for summoning you so urgently right after you advanced to the Grand Perfection Star-Shattering stage. It is nothing. The Radiant Spirit Sect Master Baek Young pats Wal Ryong on the shoulder and speaks. However, as you know as well, this incident is one that befell our Radiant Spirit Sect's esteemed ones. It is also a major affair that can affect not only the Earth Boundary Heavenly Domain but other heavenly domains as well. Therefore, your testimony is indispensable. I understand. Then, show us the memory of that day. Wo Wang. At Baek Young's words, Wal Ryong directly uses a basic illusion art and shows what happened that day. Within the illusion, seeing the moment when the nightmare of that day reappears through Bai Wa's descent formation, Wal Ryong breathes heavily. Although she no longer needs air, it is behavior that remains because of the lingering habit from her mortal beings. At that moment, Seo Gyung grasps Wal Ryong's hand. Only then does Wal Ryong's breathing return to normal. Wal Ryong looks at Seo Gyung for a moment. You really are a mysterious child. From the early star-shattering stage to reaching grand perfection, 1,500 years of time have passed. During those years, Wal Ryong experienced the heart's transformation into attraction force. What tormented her the most as she underwent that conversion was the emptiness that made it feel as if everything was losing its meaning. In that emptiness, where even the pain, the hatred, and the anger from losing her master Baek Jeom seemed to be forgotten, Wal Ryong even harmed herself, trying to remember those feelings. If Seo Gyung had not been there, Wal Ryong's self-harm would likely have continued until the late star-shattering stage. You held on to me. Strangely, even as her heart converts into attraction force, she experiences the bizarre phenomenon in which only her feelings toward Seo Gyung do not convert. She does not know why. But whenever she thinks of Seo Gyung, she feels as if the paper flower is drawing closer within her. For more chapters visit novelfire.net. Heart, letting her endure. Because Seo Gyung is there, Wal Ryong can preserve the feelings and memories of that day without having to abuse herself. And, having leapt beyond the heart's conversion into attraction force and now being able to control that phenomenon, even when the nightmare of that day drove Wal Ryong toward chi deviation, Seo Gyung let her endure. Now, Seo Gyung is no longer a mere friend or fellow disciple to her. He is a pillar that firmly supports her heart. She grips Seo Gyung's hand tightly as she once again faces that day's nightmare. The nightmare of the dragonoid ripping Baek Jeom apart, swallowing the heaven and earth spiritual energy of the vast cold realm, and then leaving for the earth boundary heavenly domain. After some time, at last, the memory of that day ends. TSTSTSTSTSTs. The illusion disappears, and the entering nirvanas and sacred vessels, as well as the star-shattering esteemed ones in the hall stir noisily. Quiet, quiet. Then, the entering nirvana quasi-immortal of entering nirvana stage who presides over this council, Day Jin Wook opens their mouth. Now, we can finally grasp the outline of that existence. The identity of that devil, who since 1,000 years ago, appeared in the earth boundary heavenly domain, spread their wicked energy throughout, bestowed wicked wisdom, plundered the heaven and earth spiritual energy of the earth boundary heavenly domain, and even coiled itself within the palace of the god and lord of the earth boundary heavenly domain, the owner of liberation, feeding off that power while preparing to advance to true immortality. The identity of that fiend. Ooh, as expected of Day Jin Wook. Truly fitting of the quasi-immortal closest to true immortality. At Day Jin Wook's words, countless quasi-immortals and sacred masters let out silent sighs and exclamations. Then their words continue. Judging by its power, its form, and the scenes and techniques drawn from this child's memory, that one is the wicked mountain divine spirit. The god of Sword Mountain, whom the recent gods of light named as the Sword Mountain Devil Lord. Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. Each time words like owner of liberation, gods of light, or Sword Mountain Devil Lord leave Day Jin Wook's mouth, many beings flinch. No matter how much quasi-immortals try to strip the power from the words, a part of the fundamental energy contained in them cannot be restrained. The only ones who remain unaffected in that place are Seo Gyung, who arrived here hand in hand with Wal Ryong in the body of the integration stage, and Wal Ryong herself, who has some resistance after hearing the true name of Jeon Myung-hoon, a holder of one heavenly seat. You mean the main body of that god of Sword Mountain? If that evil god who compressed the Earth-axis heavenly domain, exterminated all beings inside, recreated it, and renamed it as the Axel heavenly domain has descended directly. Calm yourselves. Surely that is not the case. Surely it is but the evil god's immortal treasure. Do not spout nonsense. For an evil god of that level, even their immortal treasure would still be of upper immortal level at minimum. What calmness are you telling us to have? Shouts and uproars ring from all sides, and watching this, Dae-Jin-wook, the eldest entering nirvana of the earth boundary heavenly domain, lets out a thunderous roar. Gal, enough already. The true nature of that devil spirit is nothing more than a terminal part of the sword. Mountain Devil Lord's divine body. It appears to be their body. If it is a terminal part of the divine body, is that fortunate? As a sacred vessel, sacred master still fails to grasp the situation and tilts their head, the radiant spirit. Sect Master Baek Young steps forward. As you know, those in the Radiant Spirit sect who bear the surname Baek are directly supported by the gods of light. Because of this, we can closely contact the Baek surnames of other heavenly domains, borrowing the power of immortals. I, myself, have a sworn sister who bears the Baek surname, named Sacred Master Baek Woon. At Baek Young's words, everyone's gaze turns to her. All of you present here surely know of that lightning immortal of the Yang surname. At those words, the faces of all the entering nirvana quasi-immortals present simultaneously turn rotten. That dog-fucking insane Deeg. No, that lunatic, you mean. The madman who refined my children into pills and ate them. Why bring up that one? My sworn sister Baek Woon said that with just that one's ring finger, all the quasi-immortals of her heavenly domain combined nearly suffered defeat. Therefore, even if it is only a terminal part of the divine body, it must not be underestimated. At those words, Dae-Jin-wook speaks in a troubled tone. Yet, from this immortal's perspective, that dragonoid, that devil spirit's identity, is not something like a pinky. Then what is it? A strand of hair. Question mark. That devil spirit is understood to be just a single strand of the mountain divine spirit's hair. At those words, much of the tension among the entering nirvanas and sacred vessels present begins to relax. Ha, then it is nothing much.